I call to order and welcome you to the Middletown, Ohio special meeting of City Council for the purpose of doing regular city business for Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Please join me for a moment of meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. You will hear 3 taps of the gavel when it is time to stand. Please join me in a moment of meditation now.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of Council, Mrs. Amy Skank, please call the attendance roll.
Mrs. Carter? Here. Mr. West? Mr. Horn?
Here.
Mayor Slamka?
Here.
Mr. Lawley?
Present.
Thank you, Mrs. Skank. Is there a motion to excuse Mr. West?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mayor Slamka?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. The first item on the agenda this afternoon is the presentation of a proclamation recognizing Miss Georgia Hunter. I would like to invite Dora Bronston and Ms. Georgia Hunter's granddaughter Stephanie Nelms to the podium, please. All right. Well, thank you very much. Ms. Hunter couldn't be here this evening, but we will present. Proclamation. Whereas on November 30th, 1925, in Winder, Georgia, a remarkable woman named Georgia Clarice Bradley Hunter was born, destined to live a century filled with family, faith, and joy. And whereas Georgia, named after her grandmother, Georgiana, has lived a life marked by strength, humor, and sharp wit, and even at 100 years young, remains, quote unquote, sharp as a tack, and the queen of bingo. And whereas, after her marriage, Georgia moved from Winder, Georgia to Cleveland, Ohio, then returned to Georgia where she and her husband, Dupree Hunter, welcomed 2 daughters, Roberta Hunter Bibbs and Betty Hunter Beard. And whereas in 1948, the Hunter family moved to Middletown, Ohio, where Dupree worked in auto maintenance and many family members found work at the local Armco mill. And whereas, after separating from her husband in 1952, Georgia continued to work hard and raise her family independently, first doing domestic work, later at Aranca, and finally retiring from Interstate Folding Box Company. And whereas Georgia's dedication, kindness, and work ethic have inspired generations of her family, including her 2 daughters, 7 grandchildren, numerous great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, making her a proud 5-generation family. And whereas Georgia is one of 8 siblings and is blessed to still have 2 living siblings, Jack Bradley, 95, and Geneva Derrico, 92, along with a host of loving nieces, nephews, and extended family who cherish her dearly. And whereas throughout her century of life, Georgia has shared laughter, wisdom, and grace with all who know her, enriching her community and embodying the true spirit of love and perseverance. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Slamka, Mayor of the City of Middletown, Counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, do hereby recognize and celebrate and honor Georgia Clarice Bradley Hunter on the momentous occasion of her 100th birthday on November 30th, 2025, recognizing her as an outstanding woman whose life is a testament to faith, family, and fortitude. May her days continue to be filled with joy, good health, and the love of all who have been blessed to know her. Happy 100th birthday, Georgia, with admiration and gratitude from your family, friends, and the city of Middletown, Ohio. if you wish. Right into the microphone.
Okay. First of all, thank you. It's an honor to have Mommy recognized. She would be here, but she just didn't feel up to it today. There was no bingo being held here today, so she couldn't make it. I still take Mommy to bingo twice a week in Middletown, and she's still doing well for herself. I really don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you, and thank you.
This is my wonderful cousin, and this is her grandmother. I'd like to say that Aunt Georgia also helped with Midfest by housing some of the Gambian dancers, the troopers that came in, the dance troupe, and other ways that she helped in the city through us, her nieces and nephews. And so she was always a supporter of Middletown behind the scenes, but she was active. And she lives alone. She's still active. It's hard for her to get out on rainy days.
She can go to bingo on rainy days.
So anyway, she said she felt like she was coming down with a cold. But anyway, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank
and
you
thank
so
you, Ms.
much.
Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is citizen comments. A professional presentation free of foul language is expected. This is not the time for debate, questions and answer, or any back and forth conversation. This is a time for you, our residents, to be able to present in front of council on record, uninterrupted, and have the floor. After the meeting, your comment cards will be given to the city manager, and she will assign a member of staff to reply to you as appropriate. We have received 5 comment cards this evening. I will prompt each speaker for their next steps when they reach the podium. I would like to call Rocky Sexton to the podium. You may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown address for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Thank you. Rocky Sexton, 215 Charles Street, Middletown, Ohio. First of all, happy birthday to Georgia. Dora used to sit behind that seat too. She's done a fantastic job. I love Dora and her family. They're all great people. Congrats to Joe Mulligan, Paul Lally for winning the seats in council. You guys do a great job. You don't get much credit that you deserve sometimes. I'd like to thank the city and the event staff for their partnership with me and Middletown Crews for the big successful trunk retreat at the town mall again this year. If you haven't been there, you missed out. You should be there. I'm here today, though, about the wreaths from the veterans' graves at Woodside Cemetery. Deb and Sheila have spearheaded this operation for over 10 years now, but the donations are slowing down, unfortunately. They asked me to step in again this year and help. Last year, we was able to cover all veterans' headstones with the wreaths for the first time ever with the city's help and Paul Lally. And I'm hoping we can do it again this year. City donated roughly $8,000 last year, and this year $3,400. We're completely thankful, don't think we're not, for the help, but I'm here asking for council and city manager to reconsider helping a little bit more. As of right now, we're 400 wreaths behind out of 2,000, which ain't bad. State Rep Thomas Hall and Senator Lang is helping close that gap a bit. I'll know more for sure later tonight on their donations amounts. I'd like to thank Start Skydiving, Joe Mulligan, Middletown Moose, Vance Family and Friends, Mark's Towing, Merkel's Tavern, Mitchell's Towing, Hensley Auto Sales, Thomas Hall, Senator Lang, Middletown Lowe's, and a few anonymous donors for all the help getting to where we are now. But we are roughly $3,000 left to meet our goal, and I'm hoping the city can help contribute more towards that. And I'm more than glad to stick around after the meeting to answer questions, talk to you guys, try to see if we can come up with some kind of resolution to help this happen. Like I said, this will be the second year we've actually did it successfully with Paul and the city. Last year was phenomenal. It really was. And it's our veterans. We have to do our job and take care of them. So, but thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton. Next, I would like to call Brendan Geiler to the podium, please. Please do speak directly into the microphone at all times. Please state your full name for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
My name is Braden Geiler. I live at 422 Kenridge Drive, Middletown, Ohio. So first, I want to start off by thanking all of you City Council members for showing up to the Fenwick Veterans Day breakfast. It meant a lot to us and to all of our veterans. I've come here today to speak to you about the Reimagined Middletown project, specifically the ice rink. I think it speaks for itself. All of you have been out to it. It really is an amazing place to be. If you haven't been, you need to go. Whether it's the people on the outside of the ice rink just watching, the people in it having fun, taking pictures for social media. And on that note, you guys should really follow our social medias. We're doing some cool things. If you walk by on a busy night, you'll always see people holding on to each other for balance. It does not matter what time you go. I may be on the board, but I promise you I suck at skating. So I enjoy everything I do there. Being on the board has provided me many numerous skills that will help me in my everyday life. Especially thanks to Avon, we will be doing things like social media, we will be practicing all of our business connections, and there's just a whole number of things that Avon and everybody on that team can help us to build. It truly is a wonderful project. I love everything that we do out there. I also want to highlight the pride that comes from being a part of the project that is visible for the whole community, especially the fact that we may just be at an ice rink right now, but we do have the roller rink coming. We do have all of that behind on the runoff reservoir coming. It's going to be a beautiful place. This is just the start of making Middletown beautiful again. None of this would have been possible without every one of you guys here. Every single one of you has supported us throughout thick and thin. If it weren't for you guys, we would not be here. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Geiler. And Bill, are the microphones working well? Yes, okay, great. Next, I'd like to call Ava Aldridge to the podium, please. You may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do speak directly into the microphone at all times. Please state your full name for the record and your address, and then you'll have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Ava Aldridge, 103 Songbird Court, Monroe, Ohio. Good evening, council members. My name is Ava Aldridge, and I'm a member of the youth board at Reimagined Middletown. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing people, Avon, Carrie, Christy, Miss Marie, and my fellow youth board members, to help create a space where not only Middletown residents, but surrounding communities can come and build memories that last a lifetime. Reimagine is more than just a fun holiday activity. It's a step towards creating safer environments for young people in Middletown, giving them a positive outlet and a place to belong right here in their own city. This rink is more than just a place for ice skating fun. And one of my favorite parts that I cherish the most about Reimagine is our youth outreach efforts. From teaching kids new skills, hosting school nights, field trips, just to seeing familiar faces on the ice never fails to fill me with a sense of joy and clarity, knowing these kids can come to our rink and feel safe, happy, and connected. With that, just being able to see as families, churches, schools continue to support us night after night, and just seeing the enjoyment and positive feedback constantly reminds me of why we pour so much time and effort into this project and drives us to continue growing and desire to dream bigger. Being a part of this board has allowed me to step out of my comfort zone, from creating social media graphics, connecting with local businesses, making calls for sponsorships, to even just standing here tonight. Reimagine has taught me the importance of showing up, investing in our community, and taking risks to be agents of change. I also want to extend my sincere thanks to each of you. Your support and leadership has helped grow this project and transform Middletown into something beautiful, something so many of us are proud to call our hometown. Your belief in what Reimagine could be is a major reason why we're here today, and for that we are truly grateful. This is just the beginning of all the fun, growth, and impact Reimagine has ahead of it. We're excited to continue fostering a space that will be remembered in the city for years to come. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you down in the rink for some fun on the ice. Have a good evening, Council.
Thank you, Ms. Aldridge. Next, I would like to call Ms. Avon Kaiser to the podium, please. You may stand or sit as to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak into it at all times. Please say your full name and address. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Thank you.
Avon Kaiser, founder and board president of Holiday Hoopla, now known as Reimagine Middletown, and I live at 7280 Oak Trail Lane, Middletown, Ohio. Good evening, Council. First, I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to everyone involved with Reimagine Middletown Ice Rink. Our Reimagine Middletown Board, Youth Board, worked tirelessly all year, planning, fundraising, setting up, and promoting the rink. Their dedication is truly the backbone of this project. I also want to extend a very special thank you to Rob Colbin and the entire Public Works team. This season was the first time they installed the rink entirely on their own. They were unexpectedly put into a challenging position when our hired consultant from Magic Ice became injured and could not assist, but they rose to the occasion. The rink looks incredible. The lights they installed both around the rink and throughout downtown have added so much beauty and magic to the season. I'd also like to recognize the Very Merry Middletown collaboration between the City of Middletown, Light Up Middletown, Downtown Middletown, Inc., and the Reimagine Middletown. Together, we've worked to position Very Merry Middletown as a true regional holiday destination. This year, our marketing plan targeted communities within a 30-minute radius, and our promotional efforts include ads on the radio station Star 93.3 through November and December, multiple billboards on major corridors, the Valpak mailing in Liberty Township, Hamilton, Westchester, Monroe, and Middletown offering discounts, a family magazine targeted email campaign with 3 blasts of 15,000 emails each happening on November 21st, December 5th, and December 19th, ads in the Middletonian and Hamiltonian in both the fall and winter issues, ads in Liberty Westchester Lifestyle magazine for the November and December, also including a full feature story in December. A partnership with Travel Butler County, bringing a live segment of Kickin' It with Ken on Fox 19 on December 11th. A live broadcast on Spectrum 1 that aired on November 14th. Braden Geiler, who you just met, he and I will be appearing on Cincy Lifestyles on WCPO, and we're taping tomorrow morning. Several articles have appeared in Journal News. Hopefully will be included in the city's winter Middletown newsletter. And Light Up Middletown features the Very Merry Middletown ad in their visitor's brochure. This is truly a robust and coordinated effort to highlight everything Middletown has to offer during the holiday season. Our goal is to encourage residents and visitors to see Very Merry Middletown as a must-visit destination, supporting our small businesses, driving commerce, and showcasing the spirit of our community. Finally, I want to extend a very special thank you to all of our sponsors and citizen donors, many of whom have supported and believed in Reimagine Middletown since the very beginning 5 years ago. Without this incredible community, the ice rink simply would not be possible. Thank you to Cone Recycling, who helps with storage, fencing, the crane, and electrical hookup. Martin Excavating for ensuring the ground is perfectly level each year. Midpoint Library for printing, signs, promotion, and meeting space. They are an invaluable partner. And our financial sponsors whose support keeps this amenity in Middletown each season. These include the City of Middletown, the Miriam Knoll Foundation, the Community Foundation, Phillips 2 Group, the Cleveland Cliffs Foundation, Miami Valley Gaming, Premier Health and Atrium Hospital Foundation, First Financial Bank, and the Duke Energy Foundation. And a very, very special thank you to the many, many, many citizens who generously show up and give generously to this community organization. And they say that their values match ours in their donations. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you to Council for your continued support and for giving us this opportunity to bring this holiday magic to Middletown. Thank you.
Evan, I'm really sad I don't get to say Whoopla anymore.
I know, I did it for you, Paul. I thought I got to change this name.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do for that.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. And our final card this evening is I'd like to invite Dean Lockhart to the podium. You may stand or sit according to your preference. Please speak directly. Please speak directly into the microphone. Say your full name, address for us, then you'll have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech.
Yeah, my name's Dean Lockhart. I live at 507 Wilshire Drive. My complaint is loud cars next door to my house. Their address is 601 Wilshire Drive, but the way the plat's laid out, it's right next door. They've got like 5 cars, and they're all probably worth maybe $1,000 a piece. 4 of them have loud exhaust. So I called the city and the police department, they wouldn't send anybody out. So I called them back. I said, well, what if I take video? She said, if you take video, we'll send somebody out. So I took video, and the cop come out, and I showed him the video, and he said, well, I can't make them start the car. I said, well, like, why not? just go over and ask them to start the car. He said, I can't do that. What's going on, they go to work at 2:30 in the morning and they're waking us up every night. And that just can't go on. So this went on for a couple more weeks because this started in May. And they told us when they moved in May they didn't have money to fix it. So we kind of let it go for a while and getting woke up every night. So anyway, we came down to the police department a couple weeks later, and I talked to Ahmad, and he said he would send somebody out because Lusk was the first guy that come out, and he said that, you know, he couldn't make him start the car. I said, well, sit around the corner at 2:30 in the morning, and you got them when they come around the corner. And he told me, he said, we just don't have the manpower for that. So anyway, Ahmad sent somebody out, and while he was out front, the guy come home, and he pulled up, and he was complaining on me because I'm calling in. Well, the car was running, but it was at idle. So he come in the house, he said, it's running. He said, but it's not that loud. I said, did you have them rev it up any? Like when you're driving down the street? No. And this was a real young cop. I don't think he'd been on the force very long. But so I've ordered a decibel meter. And your ordinance says it has to be under 50 dB after 11 o'clock. So you're going to force me to go out there and stand on the property line with this meter and a phone and film this while this guy is getting in the car. He's already cussed out my wife once. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be prepared. I don't want anything to happen, and I feel that you're putting me in a bad spot because you want to enforce your ordinance. It's 70 dB in the day, decibels, and 50 at night, and I know it's over. I'm just asking you to fix something, or do I need to hire an attorney and go after whoever? That's it. Just fix it.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart.
Yeah, they don't have an exhaust.
And that concludes our public comment. The next agenda item is council comments. We will begin to my left with Councilmember Lawley, followed by Councilmember Carter. Then we will continue to my right with Councilmember Horn, and I will speak last. Mr. Lawley?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, congratulations to Ms. Georgia Hunter. That's an incredible accomplishment. I hope I'm not active when I turn 30. That's just wonderful. Her family just has to be so excited, and it's cool that we could have a proclamation. Next, I'd like to thank the citizens of Middletown for their trust and confidence in me to continue as a city council member. I look forward to serving the next 4 years, and I will do my best to make decisions that are in the best interest of the city of Middletown, the citizens and the community, businesses, and all the organizations. So, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lawley. Mrs. Carter?
Good evening. I wanted to also say that Miss Georgia, I think they were talking about she don't like to go out in the rain, and I think when you're 100, you can do whatever the heck you want, no matter what it is and how it is. I also wanted to bring some information that I received last night at a community meeting. Number one, we talked about putting purple ribbons all over Middletown to encourage our young men that are playing in the regional, because they haven't been in the regional since 1999 or 90-something. And so I think these purple ribbons everywhere, downtown, on your fence, on your cars, and that will give them some inspiration that we care about them. And I think that would be a great idea. And I also want to talk about this pile that's on the corner of Hanover and Verity. I'm hoping that someone here can explain to me what's happening with that, why we haven't come up with a solution. I even heard that the person who started working on it quit working on it, and so I'm just hoping that someone, because I don't know what's going on with it, and so I'm hoping that staff or our city manager maybe can inform me and the community what's happening. I think that's it. Anything else I have, I'll address it in unfinished business. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Carter. Mr. Horn.
Good evening. It's always good to celebrate our citizens, especially when they make a full century. I also want to congratulate Paul Lawley and Joe Mulligan on winning their election. I also reached out to Larry Salas and told her she ran an outstanding campaign, asked her to please continue to do her work in this city and also to run in 2027. We need her voice in our city, and she thanked me and she agreed. So it's always good to see when we have folks get out and put their names on a ballot, put that risk out there, and then come up here, and if they win, they get to sit here and do the job of being on the board of directors of this company called the City of Middletown. So this is my second to last meeting, so I decided to split my speeches up so we don't have too long, but I'm going to try to keep this one under 10 minutes. And this one's entitled Worst City Council Ever. A person who I respected, when they said this to me, told me when I took this adventure on that you're going to have people come here and say things and make accusations, and so you better be ready and be prepared, which I am. I don't really care what people say to me about things. If they're not trying to help the problem, then or if they're not trying to part of the solution, then they're part of the problem. And in the 2 years that I've been here, we had a citizen come up here and question our ability to spend $3.2 million, not knowing our background. I had a person from the school board come up here and attack me and also lie under oath. No big deal. And you really just kind of learn from that. And I'm just going to go over briefly what we've done in just 24 short months. It's hard to believe it's been 2 years. The first thing we worked on was the Aquatic Center. The Aquatic Center, which hopefully opens next Memorial Day, is something that will be for our citizens. In fact, the YMCA, who does this as a business, has given our citizens 20 years of being able to go there, $5 for a child, $10 for an adult. I felt this was the best option because the other group that brought their presentation, I knew more about it than they did, and that's why I selected and voted for the YMCA. The next thing, a part of that, the reason I voted for that and championed it is because I've lived here my whole life. And we've had 3 pools in this city. We had Yankee Pool, Douglas, and Sunset. Yankee closed first, then Douglas, and then Sunset. And now, having all this knowledge that I've had over the last 2 years, we have to know our limitations. Our city cannot run a public pool. Okay, there is a lot to run a public pool. Opening and closing it, maintaining the chemicals, maintaining the machinery that goes inside there, having employees show up, having lifeguards show up. To be blunt, we struggle keeping splash pads together. So at times we need to know our limitations. That's why I voted for the Aquatic Center. Next thing was the prohibition, the lifting of the prohibition of medical marijuana. 60% of the state voted for this. So that tells me that the citizens kind of want it. Now, I cannot partake in this for 2 reasons. 1, I have a CCW license, and 2, I'm in the construction trade. OSHA does not want me to do that, even if a doctor tells me to. But I did this for citizens, and it's a choice. It's just like eating a salad or eating McDonald's. You can choose to do this. We're going to have 3 dispensaries here. One's open, one's under construction, and then I'm sure there will be another one that'll be open. And the citizens can choose to partake in this or not. It's a choice. Next thing, we got a nice grant for EV chargers in our city, so we'll have these in public areas eventually when they decide to install those. And that's the future. The genie's out of the bottle. So electric cars are not going anywhere. And in the future, you're going to see electric drones and electric flying vehicles. So that's part of our deal. Very proud of what we did with the community center. It's almost complete. My only concern was I wish we would have just found some extra money and refinished the existing gym, but they decided that was not feasible. That's okay. I'm sure in the future they'll find some funds and make it complete. But again, we need a community center for our citizens. And as a young man, a long time ago, when I had hair, I played basketball there and enjoyed it. And it was just a great place to go. And I think all of us can have a story if you've lived here for any time in your life at the community center. So it's a great thing that we got to renovate it, and it will be complete. The next thing we did was we lifted the covenant on the Middletown Event Center. And what that did was it makes it where if the event center someday wants to make it where it does more events, and I'll give the example of like a manor house, or if they want to actually develop the land and build housing around there, they can. And that's why that covenant had to be lifted, because if not, they couldn't do anything aside from what they currently do there. Again, we're just trying to help the city. So next thing we did was text amendments, which we made better housing. You cannot now build a house in Middletown on the first floor and put vinyl around it. You have to do brick, hardy board, something better than vinyl on the first floor. And that will make better housing. The next thing we did was we removed the Middletown school system from Planning Commission, appointing that person, and we put it where City Council controls the Planning Commission, and we appoint all 7 people. Interesting sideline, the person that we appointed is Tara Ramsey, who was appointed to the Middletown School Board and voted in on the Middletown School Board. So this was just, once again, we were just trying to make our boards better. Then the last text amendment we worked on was just adding a council member to historical because they requested it. Always trying to make our board stronger. In May of next year, we're going to have an air show in 2026, which will highlight our airport even more with that, and also the balloon challenge that we have every year. Next thing was the Bonnie Vance bench, which I was very proud of, and which is now up. We did that for 2 reasons, as we did tonight. We celebrate people that are successful from our city. We do that. And then also, the other reason we had the Bonnie Vance bench was because we wanted to have a memorial to show if you have to take care of your children's children while your child is dealing with challenges, you see that someone else was able to do it. And that's what that's there for. A few other things we did was the Eaton Road development, which will have 9 condos, more density for our citizens. Lincoln Heights development. One thing I was very proud of and that City Council did, we worked with the future. I'm just going to call 3 people out, A.J. Mentel, Gabe Scheinlin, and Tara Ramsey. I've encouraged those folks to be on boards, and anyone else who wants to have a conversation, because when you're on these boards, that helps you work with citizens. It helps you work with people and how to get the necessary votes you need to get what you believe. And I do believe 2 out of those 3 people will be running in 27. Once again, we are having people in the next generation believing in Middletown and wanting to be on City Council. We bought and we are going to develop the town mall area. I have no doubt in my mind that will happen someday. We've already got the developers, we got the plan, we got the grants. Just go forward. Another thing I'm very proud of is our remote police station at the old fire station on Dixie Highway. Again, we're showing that safety is very important in our city, and that will put a sergeant and 4 officers in that area that can respond to our schools, that can respond toward town and also protect the east side. Again, we're trying to, and we're repurposing a former fire station. And the chief needed the space for storage, so we're helping out everyone when we do things like this. We're working on the downtown development. I cannot wait to see the basin turned into the park that it needs to be, and all the other development we need to do downtown. East side will take care of itself. It's working. Now let's focus on the downtown area to continue to draw people in, make Middletown that event center where people come and say, I want to go here. Eventually they might say, I want to live here or work here. That's the goal. What actually powers this corporation, being the city of Middletown, is employers, employees, a little bit of property tax, and all the other taxes. We need people to come here, live here, work here. As I mentioned with the downtown development, also the basin with the ice rink and roller rink. One more thing for our city to draw toward. Next one is the SORG. We're trying to help something that is an active business, that is historical, is one of the last buildings that is active from the 19th century post-Civil War. People want to go there and see shows and movies. And we even have performances with our youth. We need to continue to save the fabric of our city. The SRO contract between us and the school system worked out, so now we have our officers in the schools to keep our students safe. Very proud that we also got to appoint a new fire chief and a new police chief. I feel very safe in their hands, and so should our citizens with these first responders. We also worked with the Miller Road development, and we showed, when we turned it down, we showed the developers in the future what we want and what the citizens want. We listen when we have these public hearings. We had a Miami University scholarship to help our high school folks to take that next step, to grow and to continue their education. And that will help a lot more people to be able to grow in our community. We did an investment with the Middletown Arts Center and hope we continue to make that annual. We put up J.D. Vance signs after he was sworn in to show how proud we are, along with the other folks that we're proud that are from our city. We also contributed to the marching band, along with others, so they can go to Washington for a once-in-a-lifetime performance with J.D. Vance at his inauguration to have his high school band. And the last part that we did, 24, was we appointed our city manager. Very proud of that. We had 2 assistant city managers. We picked the right person. I feel very confident that Ashley Combs reacts with impact, and I'm not saying that with words. We had a situation, I called her, and she reacts with impact. Now she has to build her team along with that. And we did that as per the charter. The charter is very clear about the appointment of city manager. We hire them, we fire them. I recall an ambassador from Middletown Connect coming here questioning our method. And when people do that, you always want to just check and make sure that, that they're actually correct. Or maybe we made a mistake. Well, went back to the charter. No, it still says we hire city managers, we fire city managers. Didn't see no addenda or extra letter saying that we consult with Middletown Connect or ask their blessing. So I guess we did it right. I also want to give praise to our city council and our mayor. First, to Councilwoman Carter. I greatly appreciate when she comes and reports things that are going on. She drives around our city. And the one that really stuck out to me was when we had those bad actors in that community that were not taking out the garbage, letting the dumpsters fill, where children were playing. And it was just refreshing that someone is reporting that to us and we reacted with impact. I appreciate the mayor who, when she goes and gives speeches. One time we opened up the new Sherman Park. She gave her speech, but the thing that really made me proud is she stuck around till everyone was done talking. And she even was talking to the children playing basketball. And she really likes to do that, and I appreciate that. Councilman Lawley, that man is Middletown. He took the job where when you're running out of a building that's on fire, he was running in it. He rose to the occasion and made the highest office in his profession. And then when he was done with that, he didn't say, okay, I'm just going to retire, I'm done. No, he served as our city manager until we moved to City Manager Combs. And then he didn't say, okay, I'm going to retire. No. He continued. Now he's still serving our city for basically part-time pay. And I greatly appreciate that. And lastly, Vice Mayor West. This man is more Middletown than I'll ever be, and he's only been here for 20 years. He has helped me through a lot of votes, and highly intelligent, and he's very genuine, and he very much cares. So that's my 24 things we did in 24 months. And to the person that's called us the worst city council ever, I can give about 220,000 reasons why we were not. And we did not make one of the worst deals in our modern history. And that this city council will continue to mop that mess up, and the next city council will continue to mop that mess up. So before people make comments about the worst city council ever, maybe they need to review other city councils, because I think this one is a pretty damn good city council. I'm very proud that I've served with these folks for 24 months, and I did my civic duty. To you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. I would like to congratulate as well Mr. Paul Lawley and Mr. Joe Mulligan for their success, and we will be seeing them on City Council in the coming year. I also want to announce that we will be having a bit of a little celebration before the next meeting for Mr. Horn in the hallway, I believe, as well. So please do attend early next meeting on December 2nd so you can be part of the celebration. I would like to address the public and council comments and the PowerPoint slide shown during regular City Council meetings. A new slide with streamlined, more efficient wording and care to U.S. law is something that I have been interested in and speaking with legal counsel about for quite some time. Our city manager concurs, and our legal counsel have been working on this. They have temporarily made some minor changes to the public comment slide we are using for City Council to review. Legal counsel have also recommended City Council go through a more holistic review of public comment guidelines with them so we can have a revised policy in the future. The Middletown Development Code Update online survey is still available to complete. This survey will allow the city to collect feedback on how the current development code works, any issues or concerns you may have, and your ideas for improvement. The survey should take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. There are no right or wrong answers. Your perspective is what matters most. This survey closes this Friday, November 21st at 5 p.m. So please share with your Middletown friends and family and take the survey soon. Please visit cityofmiddletown.org to find the survey. Tomorrow, Wednesday, November 19th, is Beyond the Field, a free public event and visit from our very own Middletown native and Major League Baseball slugger, Kyle Schwarber. All are invited to attend this free and very special evening. Doors open at 5:30 p.m., and the location is the Wade E. Miller Arena at Middletown High School. For more information, please visit cityofmiddletown.org. Next Friday, November 21st, is Pink Friday in downtown Middletown. Pink Friday is a shopping event that takes place the Friday before Black Friday, aimed at supporting small businesses by encouraging consumers to shop small first. DMI, our Main Street America organization, will be in the lobby of 1050 Central Avenue passing out shopping flyers and the map of specials in our downtown. For more information, please visit downtownmiddletown.org. Saturday, November 29th, is Small Business Saturday. DMI says, get up, get out, and shop small. There are many events and specials that day, like the West Central Wine Makers Market. So please visit downtownmiddletown.org for more information. Our very merry Middletown festivities are upon us. Our beloved holiday hoopla, now called Reimagine Middletown, welcomes one and all to the Reimagine Ice Rink, now open. The legendary Light Up Middletown begins their season Thanksgiving night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And next Saturday, November 29th, is Middletown's Santa Parade starting at 5 p.m. with Queen City Figure Skating Club giving a figure skating exhibition show directly afterwards at Reimagine Ice Rink. From horse-drawn carriage rides to the downtown Merry Market and so much more, there are oodles of wonderful family-friendly happenings in and around our downtown this holiday season. Please visit reimaginemiddletown.com, lightupmiddletown.org, and downtownmiddletown.org for much more information, special events, and dates. Giving Tuesday is a global day of giving that will take place on December 2nd, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It encourages people to donate their time, resources, or voice to support charitable causes and promote generosity in their communities. In 2024, U.S. donations on Giving Tuesday reached $3.6 billion, with a B, dollars, highlighting its significance as a major fundraising event. Ways to participate include: make a donation to a favorite nonprofit, organize or join community events, share acts of kindness on social media using the hashtag GivingTuesday. Giving Tuesday serves as a reminder of the power of collective generosity and the impact individuals can have on their communities. Please join us here in these chambers Tuesday, December 2nd at 4 p.m. for the Downtown RFQ Town Hall regarding historic buildings. This town hall will take place right before our next regular City Council meeting that same day. Please save the date for the Middletown Arts Center Merry Mixer, Saturday, December 6th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. The Merry Mixer is the Max must-attend holiday event, an immersive night where live beats, stunning light displays, and cutting-edge art come together for an unforgettable, high-energy celebration that's all about good vibes and festive fun. For more information, please visit middletownartcenter.com. As a reminder, the City of Middletown accepts applications for our boards and commissions throughout the year. So if there is something that you have an interest in and you wish to give back to your city in this way, please do submit your application. To learn more, please visit the city's website at cityofmiddletown.org. Is the link working? And the link is working. Excellent. And last, and as always, there are many ways to get involved with your community and give back. Join a board or committee, run for office, apply for a job with the city, volunteer at the hospital, pick up trash in your neighborhood or park, plant a garden in your yard, smile at a neighbor, find joy and satisfaction for a job well done in whatever work you do, or just have a positive and giving attitude. Find something that you can do regularly and give back. We are all connected and we are all in this together. The care of our city is an adventure in which we all get to share. That is all for me tonight, and this concludes our council comments.
Mayor, can I add one more quick thing while Rocky's still here?
Certainly, Mr. Lally. Go ahead.
Rocky, I fully support adding the $3,000 if staff can find that in the budget. You know, if we honor our sports heroes and figures from Middletown, I think we can shell out another $3,000 for our veterans in this city. So if it's there, I support it. I don't know how.
We can talk about new business.
I don't think we need to vote on it. I just think if everybody's on board with it, it doesn't take a vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't need to vote. Just do it.
Yeah, we can take care of that.
All right.
We gave her a check.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our council, certainly, absolutely. That concludes our council comments. The next agenda item is city manager reports. City manager, Ms. Ashley Combs, you have the floor.
Yeah, so the first presentation of the night is the 2026 budget. First, I want to thank all of the city departments and a special shout out to the finance department. I truly appreciate the time and effort that goes into putting the budget together. Usually this would have been presented at the first and second meetings in October, but with everything going on, here we are today. So with that, so significant changes for the 2026 budget include a proposed 4.5% cost of living increase for all non-union employees. This totals about $190,000. Dispatch, corrections, police services have the same placeholder amount subject to collective bargaining. All other cost of living raises are based on previous approved collective bargaining agreements. The city's share of the health cost insurance is an increase of 3.5%. This cost is incurred by the city and is based on the elections by the employees. The HSA employer contribution remains at 50% of the deductible, so that's $1,700 for a single person and $3,400 for a family. The budgeted income tax revenue in fiscal year 2026 is projected to increase by 3% from the budgeted fiscal year 2025 level. That totals about $1,038,431. The guiding budget factors are invest in additional staffing to provide more robust services, continue investment in parks and support ongoing projects such as the downtown refresh, Renaissance Point, and Town Mall redevelopment. General fund expenditures proposed to increase by 8.42% compared to the 2025 initial budget, largely due to council direction to spend down the general fund reserves on ongoing capital projects. Also, this is due largely to the public safety expenditures. So the general fund analysis, I won't read every number to you because we'll go individually through each department and see the notable changes. But the total expenditures, there is an increase of 8.39%, $4,610,716. So a notable change for the city council budget, it did increase by 27.31%. We're adding a part-time deputy clerk position to help out Amy. In the city manager budget, it did reduce by 4.7%. That's due largely to removing one of the assistant city manager positions, so there will only be one in the city manager office. And we did add an executive assistant position in mid-year 2025. Information systems, there was a 15.64% increase. There was a computer technician position added, as well as the GIS administrator position changed from part-time to full-time in mid-2025. Finance, total, there was a 6.87% increase. That was due to adding a much-needed administrative assistant position. In community and economic development, overall, there was an 8.53% increase. So what impacted that was funding was allocated for acquisition of property. The grant and project coordinator and intern positions were eliminated in the budget. Administrative assistant position moved from community and economic development to the building inspection division. The city planner position replaced the city planner position. We had two originally, and it was replaced, one of those, with a zoning administrator position mid-year. There was a code specialist in community and economic development replaced with a field inspector position in the building inspection division. And the administrative assistant position in the event center was changed from part-time to full-time in mid-2025. And there were 3 part-time event hosts added also for the event center in mid-2025. In fire, we saw a 17.2% increase. 4 firefighter EMT positions were added to fire operations, and additional funding was added for capital needs. Police, there was a 7.9% increase. Budget 2025 assumed a 5% cost of living increase. Actual negotiations resulted in an 8.8% cost of living increase for uniform patrol and sergeant lieutenant unions. Partial overtime cost in narcotics moved back from mandatory drug fine fund to 43. And additional funding was allocated again for capital needs. Public Works and Utilities did a great job. There was only a 1.96% increase, nothing notable. The debt service reduced by 4.21%. The additional fire station debt was moved to the fire station levy fund for 2026. And the non-departmental for 2026 saw a reduction in 9.25%, and transfers saw a reduction in 16.18%. So the 2026 general fund budget recap. The 2026 budget fund proposal witnesses a significant use of general fund reserves to make key investments in people, projects, and programs. Financial forecast for the general fund sees the level of planned general fund deficit spending ending in 2027, with the fund remaining at approximately 30 to 35% reserve balance into the future. So the 2026 capital projects under Fund 2020, General Capital Fund, include local street paving, city pavers, gateway enhancements, EV charging stations, park improvements, and traffic and buildings. So what you see there is the city's funding that's required, and you see that we receive other funding through things like grants. So the total fund impact is $2,820,000 for Fund 220. Sewer fund, again, that includes city pavers, system replacement, GIS improvements. The total cost for the city is $6,310,000. Water fund 494 also includes the city pavers, system replacement, facility upgrades, GIS improvements. You can see that's $1,810,000 to the city. Storm fund water, the stormwater fund 415. The city funding total is $1,375,000.
Special revenue fund expenditures. I won't read every number to you, but with city income tax, this includes transfers to other funds, the auto and gas tax, the funds included for paving from permissive tax, health fund 228, funds included for the household sewage treatment systems OWDA grant. We had received $150,000 for that. The civic development fund 249. A reminder that we did include the Atrium Care Flight multi-year donation, which was approved earlier this year. Municipal court is there with an increase of 7.88%, and our nuisance abatement fund, no increase. Enterprise fund expenditures, water fund 510, notable change there. Addition of equipment operator and maintenance worker for hydrant testing. That'll be a big savings to the city. Stormwater fund 515, removal of the seasonal transform Middletown supervisor. That's been a position that's been hard to fill and not filled. I think that concludes running through the budget, not reading a bunch of numbers to you. We do have representatives from all city departments. I have Sam, the finance director, here with me as well, who can answer any questions, take feedback.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or comments at this time?
I got a few comments.
Mr. Lally?
So bear with me. I made a bunch of notes, just more comments as opposed to questions. First of all, I want to thank City Manager Combs, Finance Director Samantha Zimmerman, and her staff and all the departments for this big, beautiful budget. That's a joke. I know. This budget, honestly, is a result of work we began 4 years ago to stabilize our current workforce by being more competitive in wages and with other communities. And as one of the slide indicates, we have invested in additional staffing to provide more robust services for our community. That was a big thing behind this. It started with the salary studies a few years ago. And slide number 2 emphasizes the need to invest in parks and support for ongoing projects such as the Renaissance Point, the Town Mall, the Downtown Refresh. But I want to make sure staff understands that there is a need to widen our vision to include other areas. The budget taps into our general fund reserves to the tune of $5.6 million. And 4.9% of that, or excuse me, $4.9 million of that is for public safety, which is due to a combination of an increase in staffing and paying for our police officers and firefighters competitive wages for recruitment and retention purposes. We had to stop the bleeding. We were losing too many public safety personnel to surrounding communities that were paying anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 more than we were. I think we have succeeded in improving our retention and recruitment efforts in public safety where that's concerned. I fully support this budget proposal, especially the 4.5% cost of living allowance for our non-union employees. Interesting, and I seen this when I was the city manager, we give every employee within the city the cost of living increase with the exception of the city manager. I think we need to consider that. I realize that we have a contract with the city manager, but what that does is you're going to see a compression between the city manager and the assistant city managers, and we'll have to deal with that someday if we don't keep that compression somewhat apart. Yes, this is a significant use of our general fund reserve, but one that will be an investment in our people and the city's opportunity for future growth. But now we have our work cut out for us. We must continue the work on the projects we have going to have positive economic development impact. Specifically, we must have job growth. Put bluntly, that's how we pay the bills. We must continue, or hopefully we'll continue the trend we've been on of doing a little bit better than our income tax progressions, and we need to add to that if we can. We need to emphasize job growth at our 2025 strategic planning sessions. I can't emphasize that enough. In addition to the aforementioned areas of the Renaissance Point Town Mall and the downtown, which will bring jobs, more jobs to Middletown to increase our income tax, we need to look at areas of potential growth and what we can to enhance job development, including working with Cleveland Cliffs. Our airport is poised for the possibility of significant economic growth if we pursue down that path. That's another area that we need to look at in our strategic planning session. The area north of Innovation Drive, we spent over $1 million pushing sewer to that area. We need to get that developed with commercial, light industrial use so we can increase our income tax base there. The old graphic packaging site, I know our Assistant Director of Economic Development is working very hard on that, and I'm encouraged by what we may see there. The Middletown paperboard site, once again, once we get that clear and up and running, we need to pursue that vigorously to build what we can commercially and industrial-wise on that to expand our job growth. And with our small businesses, what help we can give them to expand, to add to our growth, job growth opportunities. I said this, and for example, we have such a potential of airport economic development opportunity to attract some complementary businesses such as aviation tech firms, advanced air mobilities, large-scale cargo facilities, electrical vertical takeoff landing facilities, unmanned airport aircraft opportunities. It's not crazy to envision 2,000 to 3,000 job opportunities at the airport. It's not out of the question, and everywhere else. Look, what you see up there and the increase in diving into the general fund reserve, we have to have that amount again for 2027 and then again for 2028. So the only thing with this budget that I would say is I would have liked to have seen is including 1 or 2 economic development job growth specialists. I think that those positions would actually pay for themselves. But once again, with the us diving into the general fund reserve, we've got to be able to replace that and sustain that. And that's the path forward to that. And so that's what I had to say about that. There's only one other thing I'm going to say about the budgets. Either we take the pavers out of all 3 spots in the budget, or we fix the pavers. Every year, and I was guilty of this, we just couldn't get to a point where we could fix the pavers, but there's $300,000 in 3 accounts. That's $900,000. Let's fix the pavers or forget it and shift that money to where we can use it and more effectively and efficiently. Once again, it's nobody's fault. It's just there's some problems there, but we need to make a decision there. And that's all I have about the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Lally. Appreciate that. Any other comments or questions at this point?
I do.
Mr. Horn.
City Manager Combs, can I call up Nick with the airport?
Absolutely.
And can you get me to the slide where it shows the airport number? I think it's the last slide. There it is. Okay, airport funds. So this is Nick, our manager, director of our airport. I'm on the airport board, and one thing you're seeing here is the fund looks like it's going down in 2026. we discussed some things last night, and I kind of want you to kind of go through some of the things that need to happen with the grants that we have coming with the FAA on our runway. That we are getting more T-hangers, I think they're called, and then more larger hangars and such. And also, as Mr. Lawley brought out about the future, we are poised between two major airports, being Cincinnati and Dayton. And our airport has been pointed out as one of the up-and-coming airports because of the length of our runway, because we have a team. We're actually moving to a nice FBO. We also have Butler Tech, which is the future of rock and roll, being able to do drones, flying, and maintenance on this. And I think we have a great opportunity with the airport. And I just want to let Nick speak a little bit on that, on what his vision is with this budget and whatever needs you need. So it's at least on public record. So then when you guys discuss in January and such, at least it was heard.
Yeah, so one of the things that's coming up, ODOT has released a grant for new hangar development that's coming. I think you guys will have it coming up, and we're going to apply for that. It's up to $750,000 for a new hangar build. One of the things that we're trying to do at the airport is diversify our group of hangars that we currently have. We do have a lot of T hangars. We have approximately 4 box hangars. So we're proposing to add another box hangar with that. With that being said, we could attract larger jets in there to be based with us. So you were talking about jobs earlier. This could possibly open up for piloting jobs or maintenance jobs, and especially more sales and fuel sales, and help our operations as far as jet go. One of the other things you were talking about, AAM. We're in the final stages of getting a plan, infrastructure / budget plan from, it was a grant for OKI. I just got to review the rough drafts. We should have the final draft in December, and kind of see where we can kind of play our space in that role. So what were some of the other things? Moving to the FBO. One of the other things right now is we do not have currently a suitable FBO for pilots to come in. The space that we're using does not have restrooms. Once Butler Tech moves to their new facility, that space will be opening up. It has bathrooms. It'll be a good room for when we do have private jets come in, and that should attract a little bit more business here to the airport.
That's all you got. Yeah.
Yep, I could take any of the questions you have. Thank you.
So and the point I wanted Nick to come up is we discuss this once a month, and this is an opportunity to have this conversation. And the way I look at our airport, because in the past, as Councilman Lawley and City Manager Lawley brought out, it was barely breaking even, if not a cost, especially after, my age, when Armco left, and they just left us an airport. So that I know I'm leaving, but I'm just trying to put this out for the future. If you want a rec airport, you got one. And what I mean by rec is recreational flyers, people who just fly for small plane business, or just fly for fun, or jump out of planes on purpose. You have that right now. Now, if you want to make an investment and make it where you have that, but also more private jets, helicopters, and then the future being manless drones or flying cars that has charging stations that will be paid through grants. You have that opportunity, and this is where we're at the beginning of that opportunity. You have the airport, you have the runway, you have someone very motivated that wants to do this. So I'm just asking, look at this as something, not as a rec airport that we've had forever. Hook Field has been there forever. Now is an opportunity, and that's why I also was pushing for the air show. There's 3 things that when I proposed the air show. 1, general public. People come in Smith Park, food trucks, everyone's having fun watching planes fly. 2, education, having tours going through the airport, Butler Tech, and so on and so forth. But the third one, the important one in my mind, business mind, is the VIP experience, where you're bringing in Miami University, Wright State, The Ohio State University. You're bringing in all the major aeronautic companies to show, look, we have this here. This would be a good base for you to be able to go to that Cincinnati-Dayton market. So that's my thought on the airport. Another thing I want to mention on the budget, because of what Mr. Lawley talked about all the construction and all the development. And this is coming from someone that has 37 years in the trades. And I've got to journey, one of my titles is journeyman. And I've got to journey all over southwestern Ohio and parts of Indiana, Kentucky. And anytime that we build something, it has to be built by somebody. And a lot of times those folks, when they come here, they're like, hey, this wouldn't be too far from the job, especially if I'm driving all over the place. This is how people come here. How do you think we got the population that we got? They built a steel mill, they built a paper mill, and then they stayed here, or they moved from Kentucky to here because this is where the work was. When you build something, it usually takes about 100 people to build it, even if it's just for 10 jobs at the end of the day. Another thing that I got to deal with was at the end of my year, I would get a stack of W-2s from every city that I worked in, because you pay tax in every city that you work in when you are in the construction trades. It was awesome. So that is a thing that we need to consider. The other thing which I did notice, and Ashley City Manager Combs and I has had conversations about, because of the amount of construction that you're going to have with contracts and everything else, we might be taxing one of our team members by having them do this, and there is a position that has been shelved, we'll say, of project management. It might be a thought of that, and you can combine that, because the person who has that discipline can do project management and property management. So that might be something that maybe not in the 2026 budget, but in 2027, because you're going to be building for the next 5 years. I guarantee you that, if not 10. That might be something to think about, because of what you're trying to do here. We're trying to do one last time to build Middletown where it should be for the future, for the next generation, be it downtown, be it east side, be it wherever. And this is the opportunity with this budget to start thinking about it, even in the future, so we're not taxing our team members, because when this starts rolling, you're going to be very busy, all departments. And it's going to take a lot, and this budget reflects that they're thinking ahead, but you might want to think a little further ahead, having someone, maybe that's all they do is their focal point, because construction management is not as easy as, it's not just showing up to job meetings. It is reviewing the contracts. It's seeing what the terms of the contracts are. It's taking a schedule from start to finish and making sure that all the players understand that. And then when someone decides not to do that, we have this lovely term called liquidated damages. And if you're not done when you're supposed to be done, and you sign a contract, you can have a daily 1,000, 10,000 day penalty put on you because you did not fulfill your part of the contract. But you have to have someone that will react with impact and that will know and be motivated to know that this has to be done at a certain time, and also being able to go back to engineers and have conversations about their E&O insurance, errors and omissions. So if they miss something, then yes, it's a change order, but maybe we don't have to pay the full amount, maybe we pay half. That's what documents are for, and that's why a project manager would be able to do that. He or she could focus on that, because you have a lot of things coming your way in the next year, if not the next 5 years. So that's all I have on that, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Any other comments or questions at this time?
Do we know what the plan is going forward?
I'm sorry?
So it's my understanding that we're going to vote on the contract next council meeting, an emergency, correct? That's what we need to make sure we know what's going on. Because if not, then we got to vote on it as an emergency at the second meeting in December. And if there's a glitch or a problem, then we have to have a special meeting before the end of the year, correct? So, I mean, I say we need to vote on it in an emergency at the next council meeting.
We had planned to do a second reading emergency for December 16th.
Well, my problem is my question is, if there is a glitch or something comes up on that second meeting in December, then we have to have a meeting between the 16th and the end of the year, and that's the holidays and presents a lot of problems for people. I don't see a problem with voting on it in an emergency at the next council meeting.
Oh.
I mean, we can discuss, before we vote, like we do any other emergency, but that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
So what do we decide?
Do we need to motion it, legal?
Yes, we can have a motion, yeah.
Mayor, I make a motion that we vote on this today.
Could you go ahead and can we state?
Oh, a motion to, what am I voting on?
Yeah, that's what we need to hear.
Yes.
I think it would be a motion to have the budget approved as an emergency measure on the agenda for the next meeting, December
2nd.
I got it. Okay. Mayor, I make a motion that we make an emergency, what am I saying again? Motion?
To have the budget approval on the agenda as an emergency measure.
Takes me a minute, I'm older. Mayor, I make a motion that we make the budget an emergency on the next meeting agenda. Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawley,
Yes.
Mrs. Carter. Yes. Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes. The yeses have it, and the motion passes. There will be an emergency legislation to approve the budget at the next council meeting, December 2nd. I did have some comments, if no one else has any other comments at this time. Okay. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for pulling this together. I know it was not easy. I also was very grateful to see the deputy clerk of council position as well. Thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated and needed. One thing I would have liked to discuss as well would be, because we're talking about investment in parks, investment in events and things that drive people to the city, so that they might even consider maybe perhaps one day living here, but also beautification of the city and maintenance of that. So one thing I would have liked to discuss would be the possibility of adding some maintenance for public works when it comes to setting up for events and tearing down, when it comes to parks maintenance and also just the beautification of the city. That could be a discussion we could have now, we could have it next time, but that's something I'm interested in seeing as well, just because that part is so important to the city of Middletown. We do have a lot of events, and I know that they are doing a great job, and it's a lot, especially as we keep adding events. So that's a conversation I'd like to have as well. All right, any other comments or questions?
So does that, you're suggesting we add to the 6 parks maintenance people there already are?
Is Scott Tadish here? Would you mind coming up to the podium, please? Would you, oh, I'm so sorry, Ms. Combs, is that okay if we have Mr. Tadich come?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Tadich, could you speak to how it works, how the maintenance
There's
workers?
7 currently. But, I mean, we haven't done a formal analysis on what we really need, but we're understaffed on that side. But, I haven't really said a specific number, but, if you look at it, some other cities spend a lot more of their general fund money in parks. I don't have all the numbers with me right here. I understand other things are out there that take precedence. So, but we are underfunded in maintenance and recreation. I mean, it's maybe a better topic for the strategic planning session, versus sort of on the fly here in a budget discussion. But
all right.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Tadich?
Yes.
Mrs.
You said
Carter.
you had 7.
There's 7 employees in parks maintenance total.
Okay. So would you like to have more?
Well, certainly.
How many? I mean, how many more? How many more would help to beautify our city?
Oh, any more would help. I mean, I think long term we need to decide what our expected level of service in all parks are and how they're maintained, and plan accordingly to that.
Well, I also wanted to say it's parks and events.
Well, then the separate, related to that is the whole recreation side.
Correct.
I mean, I think everybody knows most cities of this size have a Parks and Recreation department. We're not there yet. I mean, I understand why, but, you know, I think it's really up to you all and the citizens to determine that level of service.
I agree. I understand what you're saying. Maybe you need to do the analysis first, and then we revisit that in the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter, and if we need to make it a supplemental appropriation, we do such.
So if we're beautifying the city, that means that we're looking at the streets also, in the neighborhoods where there's cars sitting around and
Well, I mean,
not
that-
running and all of that. Will that all
That's
be
more of a
included?
code enforcement
That's a
issue there, I believe.
That wouldn't,
police. Cars sitting on the street are a police.
Or
issue,
police
right, Phil?
slash, right.
Yeah, cars sitting on the streets are police issues.
with different things inside the cars
I
and
understand
all
what you're
that.
saying, like.
If you're
cleanliness.
beautifying the city, I'm thinking you're cleaning up the city.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was specifically speaking to parks, to events, and just knowing that we are, like you said, we are understaffed. But that's a great conversation.
And, you know, just to, you know, we set up the
You guys do great.
the ice skating rink all by ourselves this year. Well, that takes away from other stuff they could be doing in the parks. I mean, I'm just, you know, trying to, you know, show that as an example of.
Because really in January, those guys are out driving the snow plows. right?
Correct. So
Yeah,
parks,
so
and
I don't know that
really.
they would be much of a benefit in the first quarter.
Yeah, but it's a good conversation
Yeah,
because
I
we do
agree.
have events all year long. So yeah, I'm excited to have that conversation to kind of look at the analysis that you make and see what we need all year long, different quarters, different seasons. So thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Tadich at this time? Okay, thank you. Anything else before we move on? Okay, that's all from me as well. Ms. Combs?
So next, I'd like to welcome up Jacob Schulte, our Assistant Community and Economic Development Director for the Downtown Refresh, Downtown Efforts, and RFQ response.
Evening, Mayor, members of council, and the general public. Jacob Schulte, Assistant and Acting Director for the city's Community and Economic Development Department.
Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Please forgive me. I just realized that some people are going to need a break. Would it be okay, Ms. Combs, if we actually took a break right now?
Absolutely.
Until about, let's say, 6 o'clock on the dot, just for those people who do need to take a break.
Sounds good.
Why they're doing that, I don't think these speakers are working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schulte. I apologize, but thank you. All right, we'll see you back in about 7 minutes.
This one I can hear. And they tested him before the meeting. I don't know. You hire me to.
I've done a little bit. First of all, I'm always pessimistic. Okay, let me really look into this. And then, like, you see, like, this stuff with batteries. Batteries aren't fancy. They make these things efficient enough to, like, go across the board. I always have. All of them, you just have. It's a long time. I said, well, what are you going to do when batteries need to replace? Like, what's the cost? What's the return? It's all about money at the end of it. So, our plan
Oh, thank you. We will start in about 1 minute. Please start taking your seats.
How you doing, Alex?
We will begin in 30 seconds. Please take your seats.
That's yours. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Are you wearing
Valvoline.
Sounds great. Thank you.
We don't know what's going on with the microphones, however, they are working in the recording.
All right. Thank you. And if everybody could please take their seats, we will commence the meeting. Thank you. City Manager Combs, please, to you again. Thank you.
Welcoming back, ooh, I'm on. Okay, so welcoming back Jacob Schulte, Acting Director for the Community and Economic Development Department. Sorry, meant to say acting earlier, so thank you.
Can you hear me? Yep, it's picking up. Perfect. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, and the general audience. Acting Director for City's Community and Economic Development Department, Jacob Schulte here. Wanted to give a bit of an overview and an update on kind of our downtown efforts, the very suspenseful RFQ response that that we've been working through, as well as the response itself and kind of what the next steps will look like. So, downtown refresh. Kind of again, what's the focus? What are we trying to do here? Trying to redevelop some very important city-owned properties within our downtown. Trying to spur urban core living and downtown vibrancy, and repurpose and renovate some vacant buildings within our urban core. Highlighted properties include the Manchester Inn, Sunshine and Snyder Ford Building, the First National Bank, as well as the Swallens Lot and some lots on North Broad Street. In addition to these, also taking into consideration a lot of the other city-owned parcels and properties around that Broad Street, Main Street, urban core area. So look back, for those that haven't been around, including myself, going a couple decades, but City of Middletown acquired the standing buildings that were a part of this RFQ and this refresh effort back around 2011, 2012, so 13, 14 years ago. We've attempted several redevelopment efforts. All properties ended up being back in city control by 2021. And 22, we launched a downtown RFQ. Fast forward about another 18 months, the city disengaged with that developer in 2024. So 2025, new year, new effort, brought back the downtown refresh RFQ. So we had a public survey. The survey was conducted between February and March of 2025. We had 288 responses. A very common theme of all of these responses was a request for more entertainment, more restaurants, more shopping experiences. A lot of the members of the community said that we need to be taking cues from communities like Hamilton, Miamisburg, Lebanon, Liberty Center for inspiration. And then in addition to this public survey, we received additional feedback at an in-person March 11th town hall. So on May 6th, our downtown buildings presentation, our chief building official as well as our fire marshal had came in under city manager reports to give a kind of an inside condition analysis and overview of the properties. Specifically the Knights of Columbus Hall, the First National Bank, and the Manchester Inn. I have a link to the YouTube video, specifically in the sections about an hour in to about an hour and 40 minutes in. This spurred a outside building assessment conducted by Burgess and Nyepel. This outside building assessment looked over all these buildings and properties. We kind of got a generalized scope from a construction estimate as to what it would cost to redevelop these properties, specifically the Manchester Inn and First National Bank. There was an asbestos contamination material assessment and abatement kind of cost estimate, as well as what the demolition of those cost estimates would look like for the properties. So what you see there, that report, as well as an executive summary, was also available for public record. Downtown Refresh. Getting into the summer, we had met with some stakeholder groups. We had 4 meetings. We reviewed the RFQ language, the purpose, the significance of these redevelopment efforts. Seen some members in the audience who took part in that. A very special thank you to the participants and stakeholders who engaged in these workshops. They took time out of their busy days to kind of work with staff to help amplify the vision as to what they see is important for our downtown. Trying to put our best foot forward, trying to take in as much community feedback and participation in this process as we can to move this forward. So very special thank you to the citizens that came and did that. So, in addition to this, we also had a more recent survey specifically looking at the Manchester Inn and the Sunshine buildings. City of Middletown received 572 responses to that. I've got a little bit of an overview of here, but the 2 biggest snapshots, there were 3 questions. Do you support preserving the Manchester and Sunshine buildings? Do you support demolishing this Manchester Sunshine? And then what would you like to see in place? That was more of an extended response. So preservation support, razor-thin support for about 50% supported preserving. However, an additional razor-thin majority supported the demolition of the Manchester and Sunshine. Extended response questions varied greatly, but again, echoed a lot of the points of the public feedback on the town hall we received in the spring and early winter. People want to see entertainment. They want to see shopping. They want to see residential experiences as well as restaurants in our downtown. With that, I'd also like to take a moment and turn it over to Joshua Smith with the Butler County Finance Authority to talk through some of the efforts that we've worked through there. In collaboration with the BCFA, in addition to this RFQ process, we also did direct marketing and solicitation efforts. We gauged some regional development and community development on the downtown sites. I've got the map right there.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to take a few minutes and walk through some of the efforts that BCFA undertook with respect to assisting the City of Middletown in the downtown redevelopment efforts. Really, for me, it started with just talking to development groups that exist within Ohio that have done historic adaptive reuse developments. So developers like Crawford Hoying that have invested pretty significant money in downtown Dayton as an example, obviously in Dublin and Ohio also with their Bridge Park development, North American Properties out of Cincinnati, Vision Realty Group that has done adaptive reuse work in Hamilton and many other communities. They did a downtown Hilton Hotel adaptive reuse project. They also did a mixed-use development that has a Billy Yanks bourbon bar in the lower level and 6 units above that. Brought in CMC Properties out of Blue Ash, and also brought in POK Communities, which has done pretty significant developments also throughout greater Cincinnati, including Factory 52 in Norwood. The purpose of that was just to get a real-world analysis of what their thoughts were with the buildings and what they thought could truly happen. So day one for me, in my mind, every building that we went through should be preserved. That's how I viewed it. That included the Manchester, that included Getz Tower, that included the First National Bank building, and the Cincinnati State building. And after a period of time and multiple developers coming through, the one thing that became more clear to me was that the Manchester, even though technically it could be saved because the building was not in a condition where it could not be saved, it became more of a question of how long would it take to actually redevelop it. And since it sat on such a significant and prominent location in the downtown, would that project, if it was delayed, say 3, 5, 7 years before you could find a developer to actually do that, would there be additional collateral damage in the downtown with respect to the First National Bank, the Getz Tower? Because, just my opinion, and the redevelopment work that I've participated in the past 25 years, you have to start with something that yields a significant amount of residents in the downtown. That's really how the downtown redevelopment starts, because it is hard to bring in the amenities that people want, the restaurants, the bars, the entertainment venues, without having people that actually live in the downtown 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So after talking with 5 or 6 and touring the Manchester with 5 or 6 very significant development companies, at least in my mind, I came to the conclusion that to save First National Bank, to save Getz Tower, to start, in my mind, what would be the downtown revitalization, that the quickest path there was to take down the area that you can see on the screen that says redevelopment area. So forgive me if I'm getting the names wrong, but the Sunshine Building and then the Manchester Hotel, the hatched area on the redevelopment area signifies about called a 4-acre redevelopment site. And that redevelopment site within a mixed-use development should yield 200+ residents and call it anywhere between 15 to 20,000 square foot of first-floor commercial space immediately. In my opinion, what that does, especially in conjunction with the park that will be constructed directly across the street, that creates the energy necessary and the momentum necessary to bring in other developers, then to evaluate First National Bank, Cincinnati State, Getz Tower, and hopefully put us on a more sustainable path to the Sorg Opera House revitalization. The interesting thing is, I was driving into town tonight to attend this meeting, and I received a call from another developer that heard that Middletown was going to have the opportunity to review a proposed development tonight. There is a building for sale in your downtown. He told me that he's been eyeing it for the last 3 years, and he said, if you promise me that there is truly this energy in the downtown, he goes, I'm going to put an offer on that building. That is the momentum that we need. And tonight, I think you're going to hear a proposed redevelopment for the Manchester and the Sunshine site. I personally consider it a personal failure of mine that I was not able to find a developer to come in and actually save the building. But in my heart of hearts, for the downtown to move forward and to generate the momentum to save the other buildings that need to be saved, and also to create the excitement to fill a lot of the empty spaces in the downtown, that area, in my opinion, needs to be demolished and prepared for a new development. And I'll stop there and just take any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions or comments at this moment?
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
So appreciate the presentation here. Looking at this, and again, through my travels, I have to go to downtown Hamilton to pull permits. And where the Butler County Permit Office is, right behind there, if you look on page 8 of your presentation, you'll see the Rossville Flats. And the second I saw that, I was like, this is what this area needs. You have retail on the bottom, and then you have 3 or 4 stories of living space, and then parking. And this is in Hamilton, right behind the building department. It's just what is coming next. It's what's necessary. We all have our memories, but here's what I've always said about this. And I am the poster child of everything that every school I've went to, they've knocked down. Everything that I remember of Middletown, pretty much, because we ebb and flows, they've knocked down. But they can't take my memories away. They can't take the pictures away. It's great to have the memories, but we also need to move forward with this. And this is what is the future. You'll see it in these areas. You'll see it in the Oakley Hyde Park area. This is what people who want to live here want. And the key point is I don't even like the word propose. I want to say park. We need that park there for those people to want to, once we build it, develop it, live there. Because when you look out your window and you see that park there, that gives you something to do. And then everything else we have our downtown area with all of our SBEs, we have the Sorg, we have the Windermere. This is an opportunity. But can you just kind of go over just briefly how the Rossville Flats, because I'm sure you were very much involved in that, how did that come to about? And what was there before?
The Rossville Flats is in the 300, I guess I call it the 300 block, or between D and E Street on Main Street in Hamilton. So if you're familiar with downtown Hamilton, when you're on the east side of the river, the main road is High Street. When you cross the bridge over the Great Miami, it turns into Main Street. There was a collection of houses, and I would say probably a 60 to 70-year-old building that was used for various uses, commercial uses, during its lifetime. That entire block, except for there is a duplex and a what's called the Davis Building that now has an Aglamisi's ice cream as a tenant in the first floor. Those buildings remained. Then the rest of that block is a very long block, then turned into the Rossville Flats. Rossville Flats, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, 76 units? 76? Yeah, so 76 residential units, and then they have two first floor commercial units. You know, that was sort of an interesting story because, like everything else in Hamilton, one thing needed to happen before the next thing could happen. At about the time the Rossville Flats were being discussed, Ga Van Rye was being discussed on Main Street, which now exists directly across the street. But I am convinced without one of those happening, the other one never happens. The sister development to the Rossville Flats is the Markham Apartments, which is directly across from the Markham Park in Hamilton on the High Street side, if you will, close to the river by the downtown Marriott. When the park was announced, the Markham Park was announced, I believe is when CMC Properties pulled the trigger to say that they were going to go ahead and build that. When CMC Properties said they were going to build that, we took that and leveraged Spooky Nook. I went to Pennsylvania and sat down with Sam Byler and said, we now have the park, we now have the Markham Apartments, we need you to move forward on this. So really it is about being opportunistic, leveraging these developments as they occur. And the one thing about Middletown, and I am more than convinced about this, in downtown, that if the redevelopment area and the proposed park are constructed in a timely fashion, I think people will be surprised how quickly activity starts taking place in areas of the downtown that you just probably have not seen it take place in the last couple decades.
So in your opinion on our map here, basically if it's no park, no project.
Well, I would ask the proposed developer that question.
Yep. So, well, I'm just listening, and on the domino effect too, where if you start with this, then this happens and that happens. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
well, no, I'm not building it, so I mean, you'll have a chance to talk to the developer in a few minutes. I think he would be a very good person to ask that question. I will tell you, give you just two very quick examples. When Crawford Hoying was touring, and the day that they toured, Jacob, I believe, was with me. Was Ken Cohen with us that day? And Ken Cohen from Cohen Recycling was with us that day. The thing that stood out in my mind was Matt Starr, who is the Executive Vice President of Real Estate for Crawford Hoying. The one thing he talked about more than anything else, he didn't bring up empty buildings, he didn't bring up the Sorg. What he kept talking about was the infrastructure necessary to support people in the downtown. He talked about the park, that we'll remove the proposed, we'll just call it the park now. He talked about how important that was. He talked about downtown connectivity in terms of pedestrian traffic and how it needed to feel highly intuitive, meaning that wayfinding, street lights, general safety features, if you will. But most of his conversation didn't revolve around the buildings. It was what needed to happen with the physical improvements of the downtown that would sort of set the stage for this next wave of development to happen.
Right. And on Rossville, how long ago was that was done?
Rossville Flats opened 3 years ago? 2 years ago.
Okay. And when I go there, it's still open, still successful, cars in the lot. So again, this is something that and I appreciate you taking my questions. It is a domino effect. You have to start somewhere, and then it adds and adds and adds. Because we're not even talking about the old Swallens lot when we moved the park to the park. And all the other areas that we have, the Getz Tower, and then the First National Bank, which we are going to renovate and make that. Remember a comment being made of, this is our skyline, that these three buildings. This is just me being me. I'm driving down Central, sun is setting on the west, and the windows are open on all these buildings, and it's empty. So why not have those buildings full? And then it is truly our skyline. It's generating through commercial, through people living here, through people getting that Middletown experience. But and I appreciate you coming up and answer questions. But I totally agree with you. You have to have a starting point, and it does trigger everything that goes forward. And I think that would be something that we really need to develop.
I thought that was an obscure Chile reference for a second when you kept talking about skyline, but then I realized it was the actual skyline. But
I was, yeah.
I have something to say. I am really thrilled about the revitalization of downtown, but I'm wondering, have you ever rode up Verdi Parkway, coming up Route 4 from Hamilton?
Yep.
So how does that area look to you?
Needs help.
So I would think we would kind of concentrate in that area also, like that pile of stuff that they have right there on the corner. So you can't get to downtown in a helicopter. You're gonna have to come up Route 4, and you're gonna see that. So who would want to come and live in an area like that?
That's a very good observation. I've been spending a lot of time in Middletown, and I have a couple different notebooks I keep. I have one simply just for the Sorg Opera House that I've been taking notes on, but I have also a couple different ones on different corridors, including Verdi. Couple thoughts there. You have some old industrial that you have the ability, hopefully, to start redeveloping. I know there's some environmental issues in that corridor that need to be identified and maybe remediated, but you're right. I mean, that is the front door, if you will, when you're coming into the community. I will, and this is just an opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. In my heart of hearts, you always have to start in the core of the city. I realize your point about you have to drive to get there, but if you start in the core, and I was listening to Councilman Lawley's comments earlier about job creation, and I truly believe there's a direct correlation with this. In today's world, it is very different than it was when maybe a lot of our parents came to Hamilton or a Middletown or wherever they went, because they were following jobs at that point. In today's economic environment, people live where they want to live, and they have to have certain amenities. And to create jobs, I mean, you can build a factory and fill it with jobs, but to really create jobs in the community and to sustain those jobs, you have to have a city where people want to live. And I will tell you, I have never seen a successful city anywhere in my lifetime that had a downtown with the lights out where the city overall was successful. I've never seen it. And it's my belief that if you start in the downtown, if we make this a priority, focus resources for a few years and get the momentum here, that is when we become more opportunistic and more nimble, and we go and attack the corridor coming into Middletown, where we start looking at some of the adjacent areas. It's just my opinion. I think it has to start in the downtown.
Right, but Josh, we have no grocery stores over there in that area, that corridor.
Mm-hmm.
We have no laundromats. We don't have any low-income housing right there in the area that's going to lead into downtown. So where will the poor people go? Those that have jobs, but they don't make a lot of money, and they want to own homes, and they have children.
So where will they go? Will we just scoot them out? You guys go somewhere else. We don't, because I have been into Ross Towers. My girlfriend lives there, and she's moving because it's too expensive. So where do our poor people go?
So
We know that.
Well, let's start about who is living downtown currently.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like no one to me. I can't see anyone living downtown. So this is, if anyone has displaced people in the downtown, it's not been gentrification, it's been lack of investment, period. Because to my knowledge, there's no one really living in the downtown. The buildings look pretty empty to me. So again, I can't speak about Middletown. Let me just give you a corollary to Hamilton. So when Hamilton's revitalization really started picking up steam, a lot of comments I heard from people that might have been like a waitress at a restaurant that was making, you know, a moderate wage, but certainly nothing that maybe they could afford to live in the nicest apartment in downtown Hamilton. The two things that Hamilton did, IRG, if you go to the old Ohio Casualty building, they built what they called affordable market rate units. These aren't low-income subsidized, but these price points are lower than you would find at some of the more higher rent units. I actually am working on a project in Hamilton right now that's going to go on a parking lot right before you come into the downtown. So this is not Route 4, but this would be coming off Route 4 when you get on East High Street as you head towards downtown. Those will actually be moderate income units, to your point. But you have to start somewhere. So let me explain just, again, I'm just giving you my opinions. I'm not saying I'm right. These are just simply my opinions. You have to start with market rate housing in the downtown, because without market rate housing in the downtown, you can't have restaurants, you can't have the bars, because people can't afford to go there. And to generate jobs, which you need to provide the income taxes to pay for public safety that are supporting, you know, all the neighborhoods in Middletown, those jobs are necessary, they're critical. And it's just my opinion that you have to start with market rate housing in the downtown. Then I think you can look at more mixed income housing surrounding that. Then eventually I think that you could look at what I would call workforce housing to, I think, address the needs that you're talking about. But to me, there's a progression as that happens.
We say downtown, we're speaking only of Central Avenue.
So I will apologize. When everyone has, I'm sure, a different view of downtown, and since I'm not from Middletown, when I think of downtown, it's much bigger than Central Avenue.
Okay.
When I look at that, when I'm looking at this right here, this is just a microcosm of what I would consider downtown.
Right.
And this is going to have to be done in phases, which, to your point, and you've said that, and I think you even see it in this plan. There's a phase 1, phase 2, and we'll probably see several phases.
But I'm thinking of the outskirts, the outside of the First National Bank, and then Sorg, all of that area. Right now, there are people that live around Sorg Opera House. They have some low-income housing in that area.
Is that just for my own edification? Is that on the map there?
Yeah.
It's across the
in
street
the purple.
from the Sorg there.
Oh, across Main Street?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. But there's no grocery stores. I think that's important. You know, we talk about the bars, and I see this different. I see this not benefiting a lot of people who live in Middletown today.
Well, once again, if this gets going like Joshua was saying, and you get people down there, then somebody's going to come in and open up a grocery store because it can support it.
Okay.
And Jennifer, side point, we did vote on a grant for a clinic and a grocery store on the Old Vale site. So that's coming, and that's over in that area. And I've also, and don't go too far in this because we're supposed to be talking about this, the Vale site, I've suggested that because the comps in that area and everything else, that down the road, phasing wise, I would work with Self, who wants to do that type of development. So you have land, and it's in that core. It's past where the Middletown paperboard is, right there, as you saying where you come in right before we hit this area. So there is a plan in place, but again, you have to set the first domino, and then you set the next one, and then it goes forward. And this is the plan. This is the beginning. It's not the end. It's not that we're going to do this and then we're not doing anything else. So, but we have a plan. We voted on it. And so there is a grocery store plan and an extension to the clinic.
I remember.
Okay, I just wanted, that is a plan and we've okayed it. So that has nothing to do with this, but there's a plan.
So I will say, I'm sorry, just about grocery stores, I just want to make sure I say this. I can tell you that every downtown wants a grocery store. Every downtown. I worked with Kroger for many, many years trying to get them to do something. If you've been to over the Rhine, they built it's in their central business district, or in between the central business district and over the Rhine, they built I guess you call it more of an urban Kroger. And from what they told me, they're probably planning on closing that because it's just not been successful for them. And I tried to get Kroger to look at a site for a couple different years that was more in the central part of Hamilton, and they've just announced they're building a new marketplace on the far west side of Hamilton. It is difficult, especially in what I would call your smaller cities like Hamilton and Middletown, to convince someone because of just purely the economics of what it takes to operate a grocery store. It's usually just not profitable. I would love nothing more I try to talk to Target corporate, because if you've been down to UC in Clifton, they have, I guess it's like a hybrid Target. It's a smaller footprint one. It has limited groceries, but it still has some groceries there. I mean, they would even entertain the thought. Just downtown grocery stores are incredibly difficult.
What about gas stations?
The gas stations seem pretty easy right now. They seem to be popping up everywhere.
No, I don't see. I'm trying to think of the gas station that I know. Oh, it's down on Oxford State Road.
I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
Well, I don't want to interrupt your thought. I thought you were.
You can have it.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Carter. I was going to say that I think that this proposal is very exciting, and we're going to hear more about it and what it could possibly domino effect. Also, with grocery stores, I mean, we could have further in the future conversations about maybe we see smaller, like mom and pop stores, maybe green grocers like in bigger cities. So there are possibilities, and it does look like this might be a way to start that domino effect, just like Mr. Smith is speaking about. But I also appreciate the conversation about different levels of housing in the city and taking care to put in the measures not to gentrify. So there are conversations that we can absolutely have during this entire process, which will take some time, some years, but certainly I'm interested in having those conversations as well in the future.
But not now.
I think now it would be nice to see the presentation, if that's okay with you and council.
I was just wanting to know about those things when you do your presentation, while you're doing your presentation. Mm-hmm. Those were some things that I wanted to know.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the question.
Right.
All right. Any other? All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Joshua. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak.
So that gives a little bit of a recap there on kind of our solicitation efforts over the last, 3 to 4 months. Kind of walk through the RFQ process and everything we've worked through. So the RFQ went out. It was out for 30 days. We received the RFQ response of CMC Properties, which is what we'll be getting into next. So CMC Properties, without further ado, I would like to welcome up Jim Cohen with CMC to kind of talk over kind of what his plan is for the site that Mr. Smith had kind of talked through there with the Manchester Sunshine lots. So.
Thank you, Mr. Schulte.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by introducing myself. I'm Jim Cohen, the president of CMC Properties, and Pete Montgomery, who has been with us for many, many years, is going to be the project manager if we move forward here in Middletown. And I wanted to begin with the journal news article that is on the screen behind Mr. Horn, and I apologize that you may have to turn around. Oh, can you see it on your screen? Oh, beautiful. Okay. We have been interested in the city of Middletown for many, many years. Okay, it has been on our radar screen because our expertise is taking towns that have been passed over in many cases for decades and reinvigorating them by bringing in some new investment, particularly in historic downtowns, and taking those investments and turning them into people, and people turn into energy. And we've done it in many cities. We have a more than 30-page proposal that we presented to the city, which I'm assuming you've all received. And that proposal talks about other projects nearby that we've done. You don't have to go very far, just the city of Hamilton, to see what can happen here in Middletown. Very, very similar cities. When I started in Hamilton, it was maybe a half a dozen years ago. And Hamilton has absolutely transformed in a very, very short period of time. What you guys should be incredibly grateful for, and I know you are, is the fact that Joshua Smith has left the city of Hamilton and joined the Butler County Port Authority, or the Butler County Finance Authority, because he is the visionary, the architect, the cheerleader. He is the person who really caused what happened in Hamilton to happen. And having spent the past month really drilling down into Middletown, Joshua's got an amazing vision for what this city can be. And he brought me on board not more than a month ago, and I have bought into the vision. I absolutely believe it. But I want to remind you, for those of you who were here 5 years ago, in 2020, we met with your council and staff members at the Markham. We took the tour. We were presenting a very similar project for downtown Middletown. I think today the timing is right. The other thing I want you to be really excited about, the reason that we have picked Pete to be the manager of this project, is because Pete has more contacts in the restaurant, retail. I mean, he knows every restaurateur and downtown retailer in the region. He brought Tano to Hamilton. He brought Agave and Rye to Hamilton. He brought a casual pint. Go ahead. You know the list. I don't know the list.
The Poorhouse. It goes on. And what I do is we specialize in restaurants, in retail and fitness things that are more mom and pop. So we will never put in a McDonald's. We will never put in a something that's going to be that you see on every off-ramp. What we do is we find restaurants that'll fit the city. We interact with the city and say, what do you want here? What kind of food? What would be good? It's a good mix. And I've already talked to a few of our current tenants that are very excited and said that they would be more than happy to come to your city. And two very good users. I can't announce who they would be, but they are 100% on board. So, and they are both restaurants.
Pete's already toured the First National Bank building with 3 other investors that have done projects with us elsewhere. So we're not only going to bring you action on hopefully the redevelopment site we're talking about, but we're holistic. Our success is not just building a building and filling it. Our success is transforming a downtown which grows outside of that town. It affects the entire city. Joshua talks about the importance of that, of the heart of the city. The downtown is the heart of the city. And what it appears has happened in Middletown over the past 50 years is the focus of investment and development has been on the interstate. And now it's time to turn that back to the heart and make sure we take care of that and build it up. And I want to address some of the questions that council has brought up earlier this evening relative to where do the poor people go. I do want to assure you that Middletown, according to the apartment.com market trend, and I got this right out of the Danter housing study, which you all paid for. The Danter housing study identified that the city of Middletown average rent is more than 40% below the national average. So there is plenty of affordable housing, according to your own study, in the city of Middletown. What the city of Middletown lacks is luxury housing. Okay, it lacks downtown high-end housing. So when people decide that they want to sell a beautiful home in Middletown, but they don't, because they don't want to take care of it any longer, but they want to stay in town, they'll have a luxury product to go to. When young people graduate college and they get good jobs and they want to come home, they've got a luxury apartment complex that they can move into. That has been our experience in Hamilton, and you know, it took years in order to get to where we are today, but it didn't take decades. Okay, I'm telling you, it was less than 10 years that Middletown went from a town where 90% of High Street and Main Street was empty to where 95% of High Street and Main Street is full. It happens. It's happened in every city that we've done this in, and I do believe, with everybody's support and everybody's enthusiasm, that we can do it here as well. I know Councilmember Lawley talked about job growth. Developments like what we're proposing here does have an enormous impact on job growth. Immediately, it's construction jobs, architects, engineers, builders, not only the private sector, but also the public sector jobs. There's an enormous immediate influx of jobs related to that. You referenced it earlier. In addition to that, we'll have new ground floor businesses, which will be, you know, new businesses to Middletown, businesses that Pete's going to go out and find and bring here because they've seen our model work over and over again. And then there's a spillover effect, and this is the one that really has huge impacts. And that's what happens when smaller investors come in and they start gobbling up some other buildings that are either boarded up or underutilized, and they take those buildings and they reinvest in those buildings. And that spillover effect is what causes it to grow outside of the core into other areas of downtown. We're going to bring 200 new residents with money in their pockets and drop them right in downtown Middletown, and they will have an effect. They are active in the community, they shop at the local shops, they go to the coffee shops, and they bring their friends over. And the restaurants will start opening up and filling their seats and so on and so forth. The other thing that I think Middletown has an enormous opportunity is tourism. And tourism results in a lot of jobs as well. I don't need to tell you, you're equidistant between Dayton and Cincinnati. You have an unbelievably gorgeous river. You've got an airport with all sorts of opportunities. You've got an event coordinator and event organizations. You've got the Sword. You have so many amazing resources that play right into the tourism play that I think Middletown can be the place that people want to come to on the weekends. They want to hang out in these cool new shops and cool new restaurants, and they want to walk in your beautiful parks, use your river, and go to the Sword and see concerts and shows and other activities there. You have an amazing economic development department of one. I mean, I am telling you, I think this guy, he's a pro, okay, at the ripe old age of I don't even know what. But you hear him presenting tonight. He's calm, he's cool, he's thoughtful, he answers phone calls, he returns phone calls. I mean, that is rare, okay? And I got to tell you, you are very, very lucky to have him. So I think we've got a really, really good opportunity. We've got a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. I think the time is right. People ask me all the time in my business about the chicken or the egg. You know, is it the retail you need first? Is it the people you need first? And the absolute unconditional answer is people. Nobody will come to your town and open up a business until you have people living downtown. But once those people come to downtown, the retailers will come. We're not going to have a Kroger store downtown, but there will be a small convenience store that'll open up and serve the downtown residents. There will be laundromats that open up and serve the downtown residents because of that spillover effect. You call it the dominoes that fall. It's all what will happen. We've seen it over and over again. I have talked way too long because you've all read our proposal. I think it's important for Pete and I to be here for you and for the audience and for anybody else to speak up and ask questions, and hopefully we can make this all happen together.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cohen. Would it be okay to, at least for the public, to be able to run through these slides to show them what the proposal is so that people can also...
Sure. I'm not going to go through page by page, but I can just tell you a little bit. First of all, it's really important for us to, and for the city, is to maintain the history of the Manchester Inn. Okay, it has an amazing history and means a lot to this city. So we're going to name our building the Manchester, okay, just like we called it the Markham in Hamilton. You know, right across from Markham Park. The two are absolutely connected. They make so much sense to each other. There's a streetscape. It almost feels like one project. I expect to do the exact same thing here, to work with the city on the perfect streetscape, the perfect park you've already designed and funded, and we're going to tie the two together. The other thing we've done, and you'll see, I think there's 14 or 15 pages of a downtown context study. And our architectural team has spent hours in this city, just over the past 3 weeks, going through and looking at the historic elements within the city and designing a building that honors not only the Manchester, but downtown. The color, the feel, the design, it's all outlined in the proposal here. But I think it's really important that we honor what's there, and we're going to salvage a number of elements that exist on the Manchester today. We're going to salvage items that are inside the Manchester. We met with Sam and his group at the Historical Society, and we're going to get historical photographs, whatever we can assemble to honor the Manchester Inn and its history, and include it in our lobbies and include it in our common spaces, and really make that part of what the Manchester is. So we're not replacing it, we're just enhancing it. You know, we're kind of continuing the legacy of the Manchester Inn and everything that it means to this city. So that's a big part of that. Thank you. There are the images of the elements on the building that we're going to save and we're going to restore and we're going to use within the building. Let's go to one of the, okay, let's start here. This is perfect. So what this shows you is this shows you the site plan of the building. This is a proposed site plan. And what you can do is you can see our building. It's an L-shaped building. It faces, obviously, the park. The reason we put the L where we did, the L in the L, the bottom of the L, is because it's going to look over an open parking lot. The windows will all have beautiful views. There's a streetscape that's already been started there. We hope the city will enhance that between the park and the building. And you know, all of one side of the building will have very, very nice views of the park and downtown and the river and the airport behind that. And you know, these two elements with the streetscape between it will really create a catalytic type of an area that will jumpstart everything else that happens. And you'll see these developments move out. We've already had people inquire because they've seen what we've done elsewhere about getting involved in Middletown. So then I can show you a little couple of views of the elevation. If you look at the Manchester sign, we can just stop there for a minute. That was literally a sign that we took off of the Manchester Inn. We looked at their signage logo, we gave it to our sign person, and they came up with a design very, very similar to the logo of what was the Manchester Inn, except the inn was at the bottom and the sign looked almost identical. So we're really trying to play up that relationship between the two buildings. So this is the full front elevation. You can barely make out right in the middle. Maybe the other shows it a little bit better, but you see the Manchester sign on the left side, and then right in the middle we've got individual letters with the Manchester. On the top floor, right in the center of the building, you'll see a little bit of a roof deck there where residents can go up and look over the park and look over the amphitheater. And then the retail or commercial on the first floor, multifamily above. And so again, using a lot of the colors that exist downtown. Almost everything in downtown Middletown has this red brick with kind of a lighter color band along the top. And if you look through our architectural study and read some of that stuff, you'll see where the architects have come up with this scheme. There's a little close-up of the center of the building. We can see a little better, and also another elevation of the building. So this shows it from one of the ends. We can see and get a feel for the streetscape. The streetscape hasn't been developed yet. That'll be part of the planning process with the city's input. But you can get an idea of how we flow from the park to the streetscape to the building, and bring these people downtown with balconies and outdoor space as well as indoor space. And you can also see at the right side there the roof deck that protrudes out, so when people want to have guests over and want to have events or whatever, they can go up to the roof deck and take advantage of that and look over the park and see the concerts and whatever else might be going on. And the last thing we'll look at is maybe just the elevation that shows, but why don't we, okay, so this is, go back to, these are some of the projects that we've done recently, all within the past decade or so. We started with a project right in downtown Milford, and I like to tell the story. When I started in Milford, Milford was a town that had nothing but secondhand shops. I mean, you could buy anything in Milford as long as it was pre-owned. And what happened when this development got built and a couple of hundred people moved in downtown Milford, what happened is a lot of those secondhand shops upgraded their inventory, became fancier boutiques, restaurants moved in, coffee shops moved in, and downtown Milford today is one of the real hopping areas that people like to go visit, and it is a destination. Loveland called us right after we finished, the city of Loveland called us right after we finished Milford, and the building that you see there in Loveland is where Graders is located. And it really has become the heart of Loveland, pun intended. And then the economic development director at the city of Loveland moved to work at the city of Hamilton, and he phoned me up and says, "You got to come and see what Hamilton is doing." And this is when Joshua first started. And all Joshua had at the time that he and I met was a vision. All he did, well, no, he had two things. He had a vision and he had a personality. And I just believed him. I mean, he told me this story, he painted this picture, and I'm a visionary and he's a visionary, and we're both doers. And I went to my partners who thought I had lost my mind, but we went ahead and invested in downtown Hamilton when nobody was investing in downtown Hamilton, and had a great impact on what has happened there, and I'm very proud of what happened there. And if you really want to get a sense of what what Middletown could be in a very, very near future, you know, let's meet up in Hamilton, and we'll show you exactly what happened there, both on the east and the west side of the river there. I think below that is the Rossville Flats, which is at the top of this page, and that's on Main Street in Hamilton. And then we went to the city of Lebanon. And Lebanon is one of those cities where everybody thinks, oh my God, they've got the most perfect downtown. Except when the city engineer, not the city engineer, he used to be the city engineer, when the city manager of Lebanon called me, he said, listen, we got a beautiful downtown, but at 6 o'clock, you could shoot a cannon down Main Street, or Broadway Street as it's called there, and there wouldn't be anybody there. He said, we need some nightlife. So I called on my friend Pete, and I said, Pete, go get these guys some action. And he brought in Catch a Fire Pizza, a 6,000 square foot pizza restaurant with a gazillion beer taps. That was one of the hottest pizza restaurants in greater Cincinnati at the time. He brought them out to Lebanon, and he brought out Mi Cozimal, which is a really, really upscale and exciting Mexican restaurant concept. And those two restaurants brought to the city of Lebanon exactly what they wanted. They wanted action. They wanted a place where people could go out and have a little nightlife. And so we're very, very proud of what we accomplished there. So here we are again in the city of Middletown. It fits perfectly in what we do best. We would love to work with you again, and we'd love to have everybody's support on council. So I'm speaking too much.
Mr. Cohen, thank you so much for your
shut me
presentation. I love listening to you speak about, because you also, just like Joshua Smith, have a lot of excitement and vibrancy. Are there any comments or questions from council at this time? Mr. Horn?
I do. Really appreciate all the hard work that you and our team have done on this. The first portion is the historical preservation of the stone features. And I'm very happy that you're working with Mr. Ashworth. He is our director of the Middletown Historical Society and will be your neighbor there. One thing I would like to add is I'd like your team and the city and Mr. Ashworth to work on a historical marker, so we don't forget what was there, even though we have pictures and we have everything else. And if the stone features can be utilized, along with utilizing photos. And I've seen these throughout my travels, where you just have a nice historical marker that's outside and just says what was here, why it was here. Just a brief history on the Manchester, and I'm just spitballing on this one. It was actually made to replace the U.S. Hotel, which the U.S. Hotel is our oldest building that's still standing, and that was pre-Civil War. But Middletown wanted to have something bigger with ballrooms and more rooms and such. That's why the Manchester was built in the early 1900s, 1920s area. So that has a history, and everyone in this room that has lived here has had a prom there, has had a dinner there, has had a marriage there. So we need to honor it, and I'm glad that they took pictures of these stone features, because it just shows that last century people really did put effort into the building. But driving throughout this area in Butler County, Hamilton County, what I'm seeing is what you're proposing. A city that you don't think really needs a lot of help because they have a college there is Oxford, which is in Butler County. But if you drive down there, they have one of those. They knock down the retail or the restaurants there where the Burger King used to be, and they put retail on the bottom and then put apartments there. This is the future. This is something that is a necessity that we need to do. And again, with that park across the way and then your project, this will be the beginning of something that's going to be great. And I just appreciate that this is going on. Even in the projects that you worked on, the Loveland area, the downtown area, 5 years ago, it was just nice little shops and nice little bars, and people did all their biking there, but it looks even better now because it has these additions to this. So it's something that we're not behind. We're just trying, we want to take advantage of this situation. We have the land, we have the opportunity. But I want to be very clear that we also want to remember our history and show respect to it, but we need to move forward. A place that I've seen one that has just exploded is the Hyde Park, Oakley area. And that was just another older area, but it's time. And I really like the Rossville in Hamilton. When I parked behind, which I normally park in the front, but I had to park behind, and I was like, what's this? And it's exactly what people want. Whether this is your starting, like you said, this is where you begin out of trade school, college, military, or this is where you end. I don't want the 2,000, 3,000 square foot house anymore. I just want someplace where I can live, I can go do things, I don't have to shovel snow, I don't have to cut grass, I have a nice view of a park, and I can see sunsets. It's awesome. So that's kind of what I'm seeing what the intent is.
Mr. Horn, I want to just mention something because it's a change of demographics that didn't exist when I was growing up. When I was growing up and I was getting my first apartment, young people and old people didn't want to live in the same place. And today, it's the exact opposite. We find that the kids right out of school, and we find that first-time job employees and their grandparents, in many cases, want to live in the same place. And that's in a historic, pedestrian-friendly, safe, beautiful downtown. I will not do a project that's new urban, okay? I don't do Rookwood Town Centers or Liberty Centers. I only work in historic downtowns. I love it. I believe in them. I believe that's where we started living there, and I believe that's where people want to live. And every time we build one of these projects in a beautiful historic downtown, no matter how many years have gone by since it was in its heyday, they come back and people want to live there. both old and young are living together harmoniously.
You said something that's very encouraging. You said that you guys invested in Hamilton when nobody else was. And that's kind of a similar situation we have here, although we have several small business owners who have invested in Middletown for quite some number of years here. And I think this is an opportunity for us to help them and create new things down there. So I'm encouraged.
Any other comments or questions? At this time, I would like to say just thank you so much. In fact, I would like to say a couple of things. Having read through this plan, and I really highly encourage everybody to read the entire thing, word for word, cover to cover, as they say. I thank you so much. And now I have to say, as much as I wish we could save the Manchester, like that is absolutely, that's in my heart for sure. However, given that if that is not possible, this project is so exciting. The energy that's been created, the care that CMC Properties has given to this plan, it's like you figured out who we are, what we care about, what's important to us, and you are giving it to us here. You're open, you hear us. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm very encouraged, as Mr. Lawley was saying, by what I see here, and I do encourage everybody to read this entire proposal. Also, there will be the opportunity for people to speak to the proposal on December 2nd. We mentioned it earlier for the town hall to discuss this at 4 p.m. on December 2nd, like I said. But both of you, Mr. Montgomery, Mr. Cohen, thank you so much for this work.
Welcome. Thank you all.
Okay. Ms. Combs or Mr. Schulte, anything else?
That pretty much wrapped up to your last statements, kind of the last points on here. So the next steps, right? Obviously, citizens are going to be able to come back, watch this YouTube video if they weren't here. Special thanks to everyone in the audience. We will also have all of these documents that are referenced, right? The RFQ submission, this slideshow, all of the survey responses, the property and building assessments. We'll have that publicly available for folks to be able to see. And then following off of that, we'll have our town hall on December 2nd to receive any additional citizen feedback. And then 2 straw polls, making sure council is comfortable with us proceeding with CMC Properties for that submission and development agreement. And then, you know, in tandem with this and some of our other downtown buildings, although First National Bank was not a recipient of an RFQ, that roof is still in pretty rough shape. So checking with council to make sure there's still an appetite to maintain and winterize that building for potential redevelopment with some roof repairs. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions at this time? Mr. Horn.
Mr. Schultz, stay up there. So what he's saying is that First National Bank roof needs repaired, okay? This has to happen because those parapet walls, it takes one micro burst. And what a microburst is, and we get them here in Ohio, it's not a tornado, it is a serious wind that hits. And we cannot afford to have, because Larry Tuttle has said, if that parapet walls fall, he's going to shut down Main Street and Central. Because what's going to happen is that parapet wall's going to fall down and pancake a Prius, and then you got a 6 or 7 figure, if not an 8 figure, lawsuit. That roof has to be, as he said, maintained, meaning repair it so it can just hold its own. Is that correct? Correct. Okay, so that has to happen along with what else is going on here, because with the parapet wall, it stands up like this. The roof is like this. It's a kind of like a decorative thing, but it's made of stone. And when your building official says this is going to fail, that means it's already there and something bad's going to happen. So this needs to happen sooner than later, and that's why he's bringing this up. So we need to get onto that because also it's kind of hard to repair roofs in January when it's really nice and warm in Ohio. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Any other comments or questions at this time?
I have a quick question. Is the council meeting tonight, is it live? No, it's not. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments at this time? Thank you very much, Mr. Schulte. Ms. Combs, did you want to say anything else before we continue?
No, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. While the consent agenda is generally for consensus items, do any council members wish to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening and move it to the motion agenda? Okay, hearing none. Mrs. Skank, please present the consent agenda.
For your consideration this evening, we have to receive and file the following Board and Commission minutes: the Board of Health minutes from August the 12th, September 9th, and October 14th, 2025. To confirm the conditional appointment of Sidney Crow to the position of dispatcher in the Public Safety Department, Division of Police, and to confirm the promotional appointment of Blake Craycraft to the position of equipment operator in the Street Maintenance Division, Public Works and Utilities, and to confirm the termination of Charles Jones, maintenance worker in Public Works and Utilities.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. We will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. The consent agenda is approved. Next on the agenda this evening is legislation. We have 7 items of legislation this evening. Law Director, Mr. Alex Ewing, please present the legislation.
Item number 1, ordinance number O-2025-62, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a 2-year extension of a lease of certain real property to Mark Kakaris, DBA Mark Stowing. Second reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lally. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 2, ordinance number O-2025-63, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing an amendment of the contract with TriHealth Corporate Health, now known as Bethesda Healthcare, Inc., for jail health care services. Second reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 3, ordinance number O-2025-64, an ordinance approving contracts with Secure Cyber for services related to network design and monitoring and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This request pertains to the city's computer network following a recent cybersecurity incident. The city enlisted external cybersecurity experts for infrastructure remediation and enhanced monitoring, which were essential for restoring operations. The city has contracted with Secure Cyber, a specialized cybersecurity firm, for network restoration and ongoing services, including threat monitoring and incident report readiness. The details of the request are: item number 1, Secure Cyber network restoration. The amount is $250,000. A supplemental appropriation is needed. The purpose is to cover vendor costs, hardware replacements, and emergency software licensing for the network restoration. Item number 2 with Secure Cyber is the Master Services Agreement. The cost is $79,400 for 2025. Supplemental appropriation is needed. $202,000 annually for 26 and 27 to be included in the future budgets. The term is August 2025 through December 31st, 2027. The financial impact is the supplemental appropriation will be funded from the Computer Replacement Fund and General Fund reserves, while ongoing support costs will be incorporated into the IT department's future operational plans. This is a first reading emergency due to the urgency.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I would like to ask if we could speak a little bit, Ms. Combs, to the $250 amount, what that covers, and then also why there's no actual contract for us today.
Yes, Troy Anderton, our Information Systems Director, is going to come up and answer your questions.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mayor, Council, to begin, Secure Cyber was called in an emergency. We are attempting to do most of the repair work ourselves. However, we have used their services. We buy blocks of time to assist us in the re-architecture of our network. So that is why there is no contract moving forward, as they are just consultants working for us. The MSA contract is for the ongoing monitoring and security of our network. So that covers all of our licensing and as well as 24/7 monitoring. They take care of the firewall and everything moving forward to ensure our security as well as our compliance with House Bill 96 and everything else. I keep coming in and out. I'm sorry about that. As for the $250,000 supplemental, most of that has already been spent. The rest of that monies are for any hardware or time that we may need to purchase through the end of the year. So if that we do not need that, we do not intend to take it, and we will leave it alone. But that is just to cover us through the holidays. Through council, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to have a quorum and be able to do that. So that's just money to make sure that we are able to finish.
Thank you, Mr. Anderton. Any other questions or comments from council? No, thank you. All right. If there are no more questions, we will go ahead and vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 4, resolution number R 2025-34. A resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. Property Development Fund, reimburse ordered option payment.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This is to authorize the city manager to approve a supplemental appropriation of $529,968.70 to Woodard Development LLC for the return of the option of payment related to Renaissance Point. The purchase option agreement states that the city must return the entire option of payment to Woodard upon closing on the first lot and executing an acceptable service payment guarantee for $530,000. Woodard has closed on Sheets out parcel and is requesting repayment minus applicable fees. This is a first reading emergency due to the timing of the project.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
The yeses have it, that legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 5, ordinance number O 2025-65. An ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing an extension of the contract with CBM Managed Services, now known as Summit Food Services, for jail food service in 2025 and declaring an emergency. No action requested until December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
In 2017, the city awarded a 3-year contract to Summit Food Service, the sole bidder for providing food service to inmates. The jail serves 3 meals a day to about 60 inmates through the population, though the population has dropped approximately 10 during the early pandemic. In May 2020, the City Council approved a flat payment of $2,520 per week when the jail population is 50 or fewer inmates. When the population exceeds 50, the city pays normal per meal cost, with any extra food being donated. The original contract included provisions for a 3-year, 1-year renewal. The City Council has approved renewals through December 31st, 2025. Due to positive staff feedback, extending the contract through 2026 is recommended. The cost has risen from $3.25 to $3.41 per meal. The 2026 contract is $186,349.80 per year, which equates to $3,583.65 weekly. The police department requests $204,985.04 annually, $3,942.02 weekly. That equates to that, sorry, I meant to say that, for servicing 55 inmates. The budget for this expense has been allocated for 2026 and will depend on the actual inmate population. This is a second reading emergency due to the contract needing to become effective prior to January 1st, 2026.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. As this is a second reading emergency, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the next legislative item, please.
Item number 6, ordinance number O-2025-66, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to apply for an Ohio Airport Improvement Program grant for state fiscal year 2026 from the Ohio Department of Transportation Office of Aviation and declaring an emergency. No action requested until December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This is to authorize the city manager to apply for an Ohio Airport Improvement Program Supplemental Direct Grant. The Middletown Regional Airport has land available for new hangar development, and ODOT has announced a grant opportunity for up to $750,000 to support the construction and engineering of a new hangar. Staff proposes to build a 60 by 100-foot box hangar to diversify hangar space and offer storage for jets. The application deadline for this grant is December 31st, 2025. The financial impact is that the grant is 90% state funded, requiring a 10% match from the city, which would be $75,000 if the full amount is awarded. The total project cost is estimated at $1,111,000, with the airport share being projected at $361,000. The second reading emergency is requested to meet the application deadline.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. As this is a second reading emergency, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council?
Just briefly, the Airport Commission actually voted on this, and it was unanimous that they want to go proceed with this grant. And they also have two private plane owners that are interested in these hangars. So there is a need for this.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Any other comments?
Yes, I have some comments. I guess I have some questions for Nick.
Nick, our airport manager, is going to answer questions.
So why I understand there's a need for this, I have some questions in regards to, this is a 6,000 square foot hangar. What is proposed to be put in there?
Yeah, so I think first we would want to go after jets, like we said in the staff report. That'll help get our jet operations up for our runway. Next would be to see if there's any interest from many companies that would be interested in that. Worst case scenario, we could still fill this hangar full with our current wait list with smaller aircraft.
So how many total jets could you get in this one?
I think we could get approximately two.
Two?
Mid-sized jets.
Okay, here's my concern. We're talking about the possibilities of aerospace technology advancement at the airport and bringing in economic development. What I don't want to see is us handcuffing ourselves with a 6,000 square foot hangar that stores two jets. And to me, it seems like $1.1 million is a lot of money to spend on two jets. I mean, that's what I'm wrestling with, especially looking at the footprint we got today. And then all those other green buildings I see, and I guess those are hangars. So my concern is this is going to handcuff us from being able to do some of the economic development policy or possibilities and projects in advanced aerospace technology, whatever you want to call it. That's my concern. And once again, even though $750,000 of it isn't our dollars, $1.1 million seems like a tremendous amount of money to store two jets. And what's our return on investment on this?
Yeah, so I think if we were going to look at that, I think approximately we could make around $4,000, $5,000 a month on rent on that. When you look at T-hangar development, which this grant would also be used for, and all the green hangars that you saw in there is proposed development from our 2022 master plan that was made. The T-hangar development is $1.8 million, and that's for 10 spots. And we would see maybe just a little bit more return on that, but not to cover the difference up on something like that. Yeah. And when you look at our available acreage here, we would put this in the most tied in closest to everything else. So we would still have more land to develop there, especially on the other side where we do have a grass runway currently, but land over beside that would also be able to be developed also.
Yeah, once again, I just see, I'm just having, until council, to me, at the strategic planning session, decides what kind of economic development we think we can do at the airport, to me, we got to do a little bit better strategic thinking on this at the airport for future development. And that's my concern. I understand hangar space is needed, but then again, I don't want it to get us in a position where it hampers our ability to expand economic development at the airport, and especially if there's not going to be a great return on investment that economic development can bring us.
Yeah, so I think historically, if you look at the state of Ohio, they do not give out grants for new hangar development. We're entitled to some money every year, and that's through the FAA. So this is, and Paul was there last night, and if you talk to our consultant, right, he says it's once in a lifetime, right, that they kind of put something out.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want to apply for a grant and then council decides something at the strategic planning, it's not the best way to go, and we get the grant and say, we're not going to use it. We'll never get a grant again from ODOT if we do that.
Understood.
Speaking to what Mr. Lally is saying, you had mentioned that this hangar would be going close to whatever else is there. I know we haven't done the strategic plan yet, we haven't talked about this yet, but do you see that placement hampering bigger growth? I'm curious what your thoughts are right now.
Being that with the footprint that this hangar would have, I don't believe that it would hamper our growth down the line.
What if you look at the whole thing you sent today? If you look at that footprint you sent today, it definitely would take out a large area that we could use for that's an economic development.
And that's kind of why we chose the one that we chose, that F4, not going back to limit ourselves down the line. I mean, where that placement is for that hangar, that's going to be the most cost-effective, most efficient use of land that we have there, right? Because we're limited on our land just like every other airport out there, right?
Exactly. And that's the problem.
I agree with you on that. But I don't believe that this would hamper our future development into that. The other thing we have to kind of consider too, right, is our 6,100-foot runway. So our 6,100-foot runway is larger for our critical aircraft that we're currently getting. We have to increase jet traffic into the bigger aircraft. I don't want to say just jets, but just bigger traffic in general, because, down the line in 2028, 2029, if you look at our airport capital improvement plan, we're going to go after some discretionary money from the FAA to repave our runway. So, and that's a $2.5 million project. So, this is a step in the right direction to attract that in, to see if we can get that so down the road we can fight for this funding through the FAA.
Yeah, but then once again, like I was saying, that's our strategic thinking we have to do to see if that's in our best interest to go that path. Will our return on investment going that path be more than what a return on investment of further economic development in future technology is going to bring?
And when you say future technology, are you kind of referring to the AAM space?
Anything that might come down the path that's out there today on advanced technology.
Okay, so the advanced technology that we have, so the plan that we have, we identified 2 spots. If the picture I sent you was just the location of that. If you expand that picture, it shows, hey, this is unaccounted for, but future development. One of the, when we sat down, we have to talk about where the power was for future advanced air mobility. So we had 2 proposals. Like I said, hey, listen, we can do it here, we can do it here. The easiest location is located in between the 2 main hangars, right? The jets hangar and the maintenance hangar. And that's where the eVTOLs, the CTOLs, these electric aircraft would be going to charge and parking and charging. Also down on the other end of the runway by the museum where the new Butler Tech facility is, they also outlined that as well with possible, to
Right,
have a charging
right.
station. So from what I see with, and we're some years away from that, right? They're flying around now, these AAM, but, they have to wait for their FAA certifications. So I just, this grant opportunity, they don't come.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But if in this footprint you sent is the difference between, let's say we can create something in there that's 100 jobs versus 2 jets, I'm going with the 100 jobs. So that's, I mean, you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate the job you guys are doing because you're in a tough environment. I get it. But once again, it's part of like what I was talking about earlier. I think we need to get into the strategic thinking of this all around the city, including the airport and other areas.
I think when we look at, we can look at the other airports in Southwest Ohio, whether it be, Claremont County, Warren County, Lunken. Lunken's the busiest GA airport in the state. Their jobs, I'd be interested to kind of pick a brain at the strategic session on, 100 jobs, on 100, most of these hangars, right, it's going to take, one maintenance guy, a couple maintenance folks, right, a few pilots, right? And, even from my experience down there, it's not normally 100 jobs. And they're taking over a hangar, right? So there's still room for corporate hangars at the airport, even with the addition of this. That's just I'm just talking from my experience
Right,
at airports. And I talk to other airports as well, right, within Butler County and, other surrounding airports throughout the state. So kind of picking their brain on what they have.
Right. And I'm thinking, look at Springfield Airport up there and what they've done with the Department of Defense and the jobs they've created there. The opportunities there, there's billions of dollars in grants right now with the Department of Defense in the aerospace industry. And, we've got a couple wins in that area. So that's just my concern with this. I get it, but I just want to think strategically down the road about this. I just don't want to jump on a grant because, hey, this is a once in a lifetime grant, but it ties our hands down the road.
Yeah, I would, we haven't had anybody approach us for something kind of like what you were talking about with, 50 to 100 jobs, right? That hasn't come to Middletown, from my experience in some time. So, to capitalize on something to diversify our fleet, and maybe it is there is a company out there that would be interested in, even if they can get 2 jets in there and adding some jobs into there. So,
I get it. Okay. Thanks. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Nick? All right, well, thank you. Any other comments in general? All right, hearing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the last legislative item, please.
Item number 7, resolution number R 2025-35. A resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, state of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. General Fund BWC grant to Division of Fire. No action requested until December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This staff report requests a supplemental appropriation of $15,000 from the General Fund Fire Operations budget to purchase a Rotodeacon washer. The city has received $15,000 in grant funds for the washer, which will clean fire equipment. The total cost for the washer is $25,600, with the city's share already appropriated at $10,600 from the fire station levy fund. The only funds needed are the grant funds of $15,000. A second reading emergency is requested due to the urgent timeline for purchasing and installing the equipment, which must occur within 120 days of receiving the funds.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. As this is a second reading emergency, there's no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? All right, hearing none, this concludes the legislation for the evening. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Do any council members have anything they would like to bring up under unfinished business?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Horn?
So at the last meeting, we had a lively conversation about citizen comments. And I had a conversation with the mayor after that, a phone call. And she's been diligently working on this for at least over a year from the conversation I had with her. The issue is, and the beautiful thing about living in this country, you have a First Amendment right to say what you want as long as it falls within the realm of what the current Supreme Court deems as not under the First Amendment. And to me, time is is one of our greatest commodities. And at times, I don't want time wasted on something that, from what the mayor told me, we can't enforce, okay? Because folks, one thing I remember our previous law director said, this is America, you can sue whoever you want. And if someone comes here and the mayor enforces this rule about not attacking a specific council member, that person can leave here upset, go to a law firm and retain that lawyer and sue the city for not being able to speak their minds under the First Amendment, because this is the definition of what the original framers, being the federal government framers, this is a public building, this is a public forum. Now, to me, in my opinion, there is apples and oranges. When we have a public hearing, that's when citizens can come speak their minds, and they can speak as long as they've got air in their lungs, and as long as they stay on point, and the chairman, being the mayor, can stop them if they go off point of what we're discussing in a town hall. So this is not discussing a town hall. But doing a little bit of research, and this is just for everyone's information, citizen comments is not a federal law, it is not a state law, it's not a county law, and it's not a city of Middletown law. It's a gift that we give our citizens. So my suggestion is just take that sentence out and then have legal wordsmith what the current Supreme Court says, which is not covered under the First Amendment, which is, I believe it's racial and trying to incite or threatening of violence is not considered under the First Amendment. And then let the citizens say, if you want to continue this gift of letting them speak for 4 minutes, again, it's not a law, it's not in our charter. But if you want to continue to have that, that's fine. But I would forewarn city council people who want to run, or that you need to have broad shoulders. You've got to be able to have someone stand there and say things about you that may not be true or might hurt your feelings. And what I am noticing, and this is why I feel protective of future city councils, is you might have a councilman or councilwoman or a mayor get attacked and they just say, I'm done. And they leave. They quit. And then the current city council has to then appoint a person. And this is not unusual that people don't want to have that done to them. I get it. But under the current situation, I would say, just my suggestion, because it is not a law, it is a gift that we give our citizens, 4 minutes to speak, that just take that portion out. And this is just my opinion, because to me, if you cannot enforce a rule, to be fair to the mayor as the chairman of the city council, why have it? Why read it? And I totally agree with her, and it is in the wording of no profanity, even though people might say that. It's still my First Amendment right to cuss. But we're trying to keep a family situation here, and it's all on the YouTubes. But that's just my thought on the matter. Yeah, it's not a law, and I just want that on public record, that the citizen comments need to be, I think we should remove them, but I'm not going to do that. I just think that we should just remove that sentence and just have legal, make the citizens aware that you can't say this. And Mayor, if they do that, then you have every right to say, stop. You cannot say that because everyone involved, legal, has informed you they can't say that. So that's my unfinished business.
Yeah, my opinion on that is essentially, look, I have thick skin. I mean, I wouldn't have lasted 35 plus years in the city if I didn't have thick skin. But here's my problem with it. This is on video nowadays. So people 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road are going to watch this and think, man, that guy was a felon. He broke federal laws. He broke state laws. And so what it forces me to do is defend myself when I get accused of breaking federal law, which I didn't, or I get accused of breaking state laws, which I didn't, which I supposedly broke state laws, and which I supposedly assaulted a person in a meeting, which I didn't. So it forces me to defend myself because it's on video, so that there's video evidence of me defending myself. And that wastes our time up here. It wastes citizens' time on dealing with knuckleheads. That's my point.
Okay, so what about council attacking citizens?
There's no rule that says council can attack citizens. I'm kidding.
No, I'm
No,
serious.
I agree with you.
I'm serious.
You tell me one. I haven't seen a council member attack citizens. I've seen council members disagree with citizens, which is acceptable.
I don't want to call anyone out. All I want to say, what about council attacking citizens?
You're right.
We don't have anything in there.
Yeah, council shouldn't. I agree with you. Council shouldn't attack citizens.
And I think that's one of the good things about the idea from legal counsel, to have that conversation, a more holistic conversation about what this might mean for us, and then a decision to go forward in the future. So we can look forward to that conversation happening in the future.
I think we're here for the people. So to not let them speak and say what they want, I think that's control. We're getting into some control.
It's also,
if they can't come here and say what's going on and why they're upset with who they're upset with.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But then when they accuse you of breaking federal law, when they accuse you of assaulting them, that's not right.
And I want to just go ahead and say again what Mr. Horn was saying is like, yes, public meetings like ours do not have to have comment, but so that's what he was saying. That's why it's a gift. It's not a legal law that people have to have public comment, but we do. And so when we do, we have guidelines, and that's what we're going to discuss as well with the legal counsel. Any other comments on that unfinished business? All right. I had, anybody else have any unfinished business? I did want to mention, I think it's important to talk about, we have the town hall coming up on December 2nd, so we kind of have to have a structure for it. It starts at 4 o'clock, and I'd like to end at 5:15 so that people can take a break. So we have an hour and 15 minutes. I'm wondering, what do we want that structure to look like? For example, do we want to give like 5 to 7 minutes for Mr. Cohen to speak, to kind of just refresh everyone's memory? Do we want to give 5 to 7 minutes for Mr. Smith to speak? Do we want to have comments? How are we going to have the public speak? Are they going to raise their hands? Are they going to come up and speak for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Just want to have that discussion with what you guys are thinking.
My suggestion would be just let the public come up and give their comments and feedback, and have them fill out a card like they would at a normal council meeting, and we got to put a time limit on, depending on how many you get. And I think what'll happen is they'll have questions asked, and we could have Cohen and Joshua here to answer questions, but I don't see the need to have them get back up and rehash.
Refresher?
Yeah.
Hold on. This is a public hearing. He has to swear them in. They don't fill cards out, right?
Oh, it's not a public
hearing. It's not a public hearing. It's a
public
town
hearing?
hall.
No, it would be it's a town hall, which is essentially informational. It's not.
Okay, I just want to clarify, because we're not swearing people in and all that fun stuff.
No, and it's actually a special meeting of council, so we will have minutes and we will have that. But that's why I wanted to discuss what do we want this to look like.
Well, if that's the case, then you can limit them to saying we just put the 4-minute timer up, because we've been giving them lots of information, and we've had meetings with the city manager and Jacob and all this stuff, so they might be content with what the final answer is, even though they're not happy about it. So there might not be as many comments as there would have been if it was we didn't meet with them, we're going to do this, and then the place fills up, and then we're 3 hours in. I think the majority of the players have been brought in to have these conversations, which I appreciate that. I appreciate when they do meet with Mr. Ashworth, and I think Gabe has actually sat in to some of these meetings. So some of the people that are concerned about the historical portion of this has already got their answers. So it might be a lot less, to your point. But Mayor, again, since this is not a public hearing, you're the chairman. You can just say, we're going to just do 4 minutes and see how many cards we get, or 2 minutes. To me, they're going to say what they want within 2 minutes, but don't hamper them either, because they have the right to speak.
Got you. So if we have about, say, half an hour for all of council, if they want to say something at the end, and then if we,
That'd be a good idea, yeah.
right, so we leave that time, so we'd have about 45 minutes for question and answer, and it sounds like we'll skip the refresh of the idea, but we'll go ahead and go right into cards. And that's how we'll take the questions, and they'll have 4 minutes each, just like at a normal council meeting. And then we'll stop after about 45 minutes. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, let me ask, Sam, what do you think? You know a lot of the people who've been working on this.
Would you please come to the podium, Mr. Ashworth, so we can hear you? Thank you. Oh, Mr. Ashworth? I'm sorry. Could you please come to the podium so we can hear you on online as well?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
One thing that
I hear them bones popping.
And this is Mr. Sam Ashworth.
One thing I might suggest is that we continue to take cards as the town hall is going on. You know, during a regular city council meeting, we only take cards before the meeting starts. But one thing that we might continue to take cards during that town hall, because people may have questions after they hear a question.
I like that idea.
That's a suggestion.
You can sit or stand as you wish, Mr. Ashworth.
Well, there will be a lot of comments. There'll be a lot of questions about this, because it's a new concept, and it involves some negative part. It involves some positive part, and so I think giving them as much time as you can allot, would be helpful. But you're right. There will be some follow-up questions. You know, if Joshua or the other Jim get up and say something, there may be a follow-up question. So I think this is the opportunity that the public needs to really kind of hone in on this and give their opinions.
And it sounds like also, just because they have 4 minutes, they might not need the full 4, so we might be able to hear a few more people than the 45 minutes would normally allow, like 11 people. Okay. So any other questions for Mr. Ashworth?
Yeah, well, yes, also for you too. So what I'm hearing is maybe we don't have Joshua Smith speak up, because he just kind of gives the broad, this is why we need to do this, because we did this in Hamilton. But maybe we have CMC come up, which also, and have them kind of go through their presentation briskly, but make sure that, like the point that I brought out, that I definitely want, and I think they're amicable too, working with you on, which I want, because you are our historian. But I think that will help if they go through each one of these slides, and then they see that. Just tell him, go through the slides, give a brief, and maybe time limit him. Then you leave the citizens open up to their questions. But if they see this presentation flipping through there, that might answer some of their questions, or that might draw some more questions. And then you have more time. So I'd love to listen to Joshua, but he's just going to give the broad, this is why we're doing this. I would have the person that's actually brought, this is what we asked for, this is what this team asked for, is this RFQ. So I think this is what they need to see, and maybe say, can you get it done in 10 minutes? And then leave the rest of the time for citizens and everyone to make their comments.
I don't think they'll get down into the details of what's in the presentation, or the proposal, but I think they'll be more concerned about the look, how the historical aspect ties in, and all of that, and they've got some good answers, I think, for that.
Right, that was my point, yep.
Okay, so it sounds like, now this is why I really encourage people to read this entire proposal. It's very well done, and it answers a lot of those questions, and it creates questions for people to say, hey, how about this? Maybe we can finagle that.
Yep.
So Mr. Horn has suggested maybe a 5-7-minute recap. Mr. Lawler, you said let's skip the recap. What are the thoughts of council?
Can I also interject
Yes.
too? Jacob had mentioned during his presentation, this will all be available online, and I encourage people to also reach out ahead of time and submit questions, because we could try to work on getting those, incorporated into Jim's brief, presentation as well, or so he could be ready.
Also, I wonder, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's online, a lot of people aren't aware. Like I said, I attended a community meeting last night. They didn't even know that they had some surveys out. So when we put things online, we're leaving half the population out.
I was also wondering, so maybe there's a way we can advertise this better for next meeting. Do you have thoughts?
I don't have any.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. Mr. Schulte?
To me. Yeah, I mean, I think we can certainly work to help get the word out, to the point on just making sure the information is available. Historically, we'll do a records request. My staff can certainly, again, culminate all the information, the documents I've referenced in this PowerPoint presentation, the RFQ response, the RFQ itself, and get it in one central location for people to be able to get all the information at one time, be able to really build up over the next 2 weeks, their informed opinion, and then to hopefully answer a lot of those questions, maybe in advance.
I like that idea of one place where people can kind of see everything, and they just click and they can find it. Ms. Combs?
And to Mrs. Carter's point, our friends from the Journal are here as well, and I'm sure they're probably working on an article. Maybe there could be a mention of, a hard copy of the plan, or, reaching out to staff to get plans to people who are interested, maybe
Perfect.
an article that could be written.
That's good. And then maybe some of the organizations can also speak of it during their meetings before December 2nd. And I was also thinking perhaps we might have, during the town hall that will be taking place in these chambers, maybe we have like a little, what's that called when you have a bunch of pictures together? Thank you, collage, of what the buildings will look like. So all the pictures that are in here already, just putting it up there, or printing them out, whatever's easier, but so people can come in and see it while they're there.
Yeah, we'd be happy to make poster boards help Mr. Cohen.
I think that would be very helpful, and because I think the most comments will be about the appearance and how that ties into the historical aspect, but also how it ties into the rest of downtown. Like I said, I don't think they'll get into the details very much. That's really for council anyway, and so I think it'll be good.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Ashworth? All right, thank you. Okay, so just to reiterate, it sounds like what we're going to do is, now does council, do you want to have a recap really quickly, like 5 minutes from Mr. Cohen, or do you want to skip that and just go right to the questions? I think since we're asking so many people to look at it, we're going to be really advertising this well and have a one-stop shop to find all the information. Maybe we can skip the recap. Thoughts?
See what's needed.
Okay, because I'm just thinking about timing if we give people 4 minutes. So it sounds like what we'll do is maybe have a recap, maybe not, have pictures. We're gonna really advertise this. People will be able to speak up to 4 minutes. We're gonna have cards that they can sign and fill out in the beginning plus during, so we can take them continuously and just use up all the time we have. And then council can make some comments at the end, and then we'll be able to stop at 5:15. Does that sound correct? All right, thank you everybody for having that conversation so we can make sure that happens well for the second. Any other unfinished business from council? Okay, hearing none, that concludes unfinished business. We will proceed. The next item is new business. Do any council members have any new business this evening? All right, hearing none, this concludes new business. This then concludes our regular city council meeting for Middletown, Ohio, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 7:45 p.m. This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 4 p.m. in these chambers for a special meeting of council for the downtown RFQ Town Hall regarding historic buildings for the purpose of hearing public comment on the proposal from CMC Properties, to be followed at 5:30 p.m. for our regular city council meeting. Thank you and good night.